Chapter 2649. The sky was filled with black dragon phantoms, and the entire world was trembling as if the world was about to fall. The dark red divine dragon used the dragon clan's great theurgy to fight back. Any black dragon phantoms that got close to him were all destroyed. Lin Xian was even more terrifying. He used the chaotic yin-yang steps to form yin-yang qi and walked in the void as he quickly charged over. Any black dragon phantoms that he encountered were all destroyed by his fist. Boom, boom. Tens of thousands of thunderous sounds rang out, making people tremble. The terrifying collision erupted with countless rays of light. Fortunately, this was a strange space. Otherwise, the real world would have been destroyed long ago. Whoosh! Lin Xian finally reached the front. He looked at the Thousand-Blade King with a cold smile. Countless sword chi exploded from his body. He was like a god of swords fighting against the saber light. The Thousand-Blade King's face changed when he felt the sword chi. So terrifying. Lin Xian's sword chi was too sharp. It even surpassed the saber light that he had cultivated for 1 or 2,000 years. He found it hard to believe. When he saw Lin Xian's gaze, his heart trembled. What kind of gaze was that? It was like an emperor looking down on the world. Heaven battling divine fist, one punch to break the sky. Lin Xian waved his fist, and the terrifying fist emitted light. Countless sword chi transformed into mysterious runes and fell together with Lin Xian's movements. This punch had the power to shatter the starry sky and swallow the mountains and rivers. This was the nine-yang divine body. It was too terrifying. It was the purest and most yang energy incomparable. The Thousand-Blade King's body trembled. At this moment, it was as if he had seen a supreme emperor. He could not help but want to kneel down. Damn it! Hold it in. Saber light exploded from within the Thousand-Blade King's body, and he stopped that thought. His body was covered in cold sweat. Lin Xian was too terrifying. Kill. He roared and tried to stay awake. He waved his venomous dragon spike and stabbed out crazily. Venomous dragon breaks the sky. Boom. The two collided and heaven and earth collapsed, destroying everything. A miserable sound rang out. The soul of the black dragon let out a miserable cry. Even the black dragon phantoms were rolling in the air. The venom dragon spike was sent flying, and the myriad blade king was sent flying. He couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. His hair was disheveled and his armor was dyed red with blood. His face was extremely pale and he was in an extremely sorry state. Damn it! Damn it! The myriad blade king was so angry that he coughed up blood. The myriad blade king was so angry that his entire body was trembling. However, not long after he revealed a sinister smile. That was because he discovered that there were no cracks on his body, nor were his bones shattered. This scene made him go wild with joy. It seemed that only his cultivation was suppressed, but his life rating could not be suppressed. In other words, his body was still that of an invincible king. Thinking of this, he smiled proudly. Ah, brat, do you think you can win by suppressing my cultivation? With your strength, you won't be able to break through my defense. I can't break through your defense? So what? Today I'm going to beat you up. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Ruffian dragon attacked together. Torture him to death. Ah, I can't wait any longer. When the dark red divine dragon heard that, it also roared excitedly. It swung its dragon tail and rushed forward to take a palm strike from Lin Xian. The myriad blade king could have dodged that attack. However, at the same time Lin Xian's fist flew over. He had seen the power of Lin Xian's fist, so of course he did not dare to be careless. Therefore he could only take Lin Xian's fist head-on. At the same time he kept dodging. Bang! Smack! Although he blocked Lin Xian's fist, he was slapped by the dark red divine dragon. Immediately, his body spun in the air and flew backward. The dark red divine dragon kept swinging its hand. Damn it, old Chamao is too thick-skinned. Even my hand hurts. Bang! The myriad blade king had just stood up. When he heard that, he spat out a mouthful of blood. His entire body was trembling with anger. Ah, damn it! I'm going to kill you. However, what greeted him was Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon's frenzied attacks. The two of them knew that they couldn't break the other party's defense, so they directly slapped each other's face. They wanted to slap each other's face ruthlessly. Sure enough, it didn't take long for the myriad blade king's face to be slapped more than a dozen times. Each slap made a deafening sound. However, his life level was extremely high, so he wouldn't be injured at all. Therefore, after more than a dozen slaps, his face was incomparably red, like a pig's liver. Of course, it wasn't because he was beaten but because he was angry. He was so angry that he was about to vomit blood. He felt that his lungs were about to explode. Damn it, this old thing's face is too thick. If I can't use my hands, I'll just kick him. Lin Xian changed his strategy. The dark red divine dragon also swung its dragon tail directly at the other party. Lin Xian raised his leg and kicked at the other party. Bang bang bang. From the beginning to the end, the Myriad Blade King was suppressed by the two of them. If others saw this scene, they would probably be scared to death. Because this was an invincible king. Two 7-star powerhouses were actually beating up an invincible king. No matter how one looked at it, it was like a dream. Go to hell. The Myriad Blade King was finally enraged. He took out a broken treasure. This was a sage's broken treasure. As soon as it appeared, the sage's aura was overwhelming, and it directly pushed back Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon. The broken treasure box floated beside the Myriad Blade King. The Myriad Blade King's eyes were red and he couldn't stop panting. I must tear you into pieces. Not only the two of you, but I won't let off anyone who has anything to do with you too. I want to kill all of them. He screamed like a madman. TSK, you want to scare us with a mere sage's broken treasure? The dark red divine dragon snorted and took out a broken treasure pagoda. Lin Xian also took out the sage's hand bone. Sage's broken treasure, and there are two of them. The Myriad Blade King was extremely shocked, and his face instantly turned green. Damn it, the other party's foundation is too rich. Two 7-star powerhouses actually have something like a sage's broken treasure? One had to know that not everyone, even invincible kings, would have a sage's broken treasure. It could be said that it was very precious. But the other party took out two of them in an instant. How was he going to fight? As expected, his broken treasure was directly suppressed in the void and couldn't reflect at all. Lin Xian took out Flower Protector again, and the corners of his mouth curled up into a cold smile. Do you really think that I can't break your defense? He gently shook the bell, and a demonic sound turned into a terrifying sound wave sword chi that rushed forward. Poof. The Myriad Blade King shot out countless blade lights to resist it. But soon he was sent flying. The armor on his body was damaged. Damn it, what is this? Flower Protector, could it be the legendary great weapon Flower Protector? He was extremely terrified. The other party even has such an ancient weapon? Damn it. Galaxy Seal. The Myriad Blade King quickly formed a seal, and the blade lights in the sky revolved around his hand, forming a galaxy. Chapter 2650. He pushed his palm forward, pushing the entire Milky Way to resist the sound wave attack. With a loud clang, an earth-shattering collision sound was heard. He blocked the wave of attack. Looking at this scene, the Thousand-Blade King heaved a sigh of relief. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. What a terrifying seal. As expected of an invincible king. Even if his cultivation was suppressed, he was still so powerful. One should know that an ordinary late-stage 8-star powerhouse would have been killed by him. The other party could hold on for such a long time. It could be said that he definitely had the foundation and combat experience of an invincible king. However, the other party was no longer an invincible king. Therefore, he still had a way to kill the other party. Sure enough, in the next moment, he tore open the seal of the Flower Protector. Instantly, the terrifying sound wave sword chi became even more terrifying. Boom, boom, boom. Countless black holes appeared in the Milky Way diagram in the sky, and those Milky Ways became dim. Damn it, the power became stronger again. The Thousand-Blade King kept retreating. The armor on his body was directly penetrated, and a few bloody holes appeared. Blood flowed out. Finally, under the attack of the Flower Protector, he was injured. This scene caused him to be terrified. It seemed that the other party had the ability to kill him. This made him feel a strong sense of fear. He turned around and wanted to escape. As long as he left this array, as long as he left this strange spirit boat and appeared in the real world outside, he would still be an invincible king. He would still be an invincible existence. He would no longer be afraid of the other party. Therefore, he had to leave this place quickly. The saber slashed out, tearing the world apart, and a huge black hole appeared. The Thousand-Blade King's body swayed and flew in. He wanted to leave this space. But soon he was blasted out by a punch. Now you still want to run? From the moment you stepped into this formation, your fate has already been judged. This is the place where you will perish. Lin Xian's body emitted thousands of rays of light, and his cold voice sounded. Lin Xian threw the Flower Protector to the dark red divine dragon, letting him control the Flower Protector to kill the Thousand-Blade King. As for himself, he pulled out the ancient dragon abyss sword. His entire body was surrounded by sword light, and he rushed over like a god of death. Seeing that the other party had abandoned Flower Protector and dared to attack him, the Myriad Blade King also roared crazily. Without Flower Protector, he wasn't afraid of them. Therefore, in the next moment he pointed his finger forward. Blade God's finger. Then he stretched out a finger which contained a supreme profound intent. Together with the saber light that filled the sky, it blasted forward. Boom. This finger attack was too terrifying. It was even more terrifying than the saber light unleashed by the Thousand Saber Monarch. Clearly, this was a finger formed from the essence of countless saber lights. Go to hell, brat. The Myriad Blade King revealed a ferocious expression once again. His opponent's physical defense was not as good as his. If his opponent was hit by his finger of the Saber God, both body and soul would be destroyed. Ninefold Thunder Sword. The current Lin Xian was still able to use the third stage of the Ninefold Thunder Sword. Along with his sword light, countless thunder sea surged. Streaks of Thunder Sword Chi transformed into thunder dragons that roared incessantly. It dashed through the void and charged towards the Broadsword God's finger. Crack. The incomparably terrifying and extremely sharp divine saber finger was actually severed by a single slash. The finger of the saber god was severed. The Myriad Blade King's finger was also broken, and it was strangely deformed. He grunted and was pushed back. He did not care about the wound on his finger. What shocked him more was that his opponent's strength and sword chi could actually break his finger of the saber god. It was too terrifying. If his opponent had used the Flower Protector to break his finger, he could still accept it. After all, the Flower Protector was an ancient weapon. It had killed many terrifying experts. But now, his opponent had broken his finger of the saber god with his own strength? Could it be that his opponent had reached such a terrifying stage? You are very powerful? You have been chasing after me with the strength of an invincible king. Do you really think that you can kill me? You are only relying on your cultivation of over 2,000 years. If you were at the same level as me, I could kill you with a single slash. Therefore, you do not have the right to be arrogant in front of me. If I had lived for 2,000 years, I would have become a sage long ago. I could kill you with a single slap. Moreover, you are not an invincible king now. Do you think that you can still fight against me now? Lin Xian's voice was cold. Damn brat, don't be complacent. Do you think that you can kill me just because you broke one of my fingers? You are too naive. My trump card is not something you can imagine. The Thousand Saber King roared crazily. Being slapped in the face by a junior and pressed on top of his head, this feeling was extremely unpleasant. Not only was he unhappy, he was about to go crazy from anger. And if I was in my full state, I could kill you with one move. The Thousand Saber King was filled with hatred. The biggest mistake in his life was to enter the other party's spirit boat. Lin Xian sneered. The 9-layered thunder sword danced crazily. Behind him, 3 huge thunder swords surged forward. The power of the great dragon sword spirit combined with the sky-high sword and the 5 seals of the ancient dragon abyss sword. That power was extremely terrifying. The Thousand Saber King resisted with difficulty and kept retreating. Lin Xian, on the other hand, shifted his position. In the end, he descended from the sky like a deity and viciously kicked the Million Blades Monarch in the stomach. This kick not only contained the power of the 9 Yang divine body, there was also the shadow of a dragon on the sole of his foot. 2 powerful forces collided with each other. Boom. The other party's armor shattered. The Thousand Saber King's body smashed into the ground like a meteor. The Thousand Saber King kept vomiting blood as he roared crazily. Lin Xian waved his 5 fingers. The 5-element sword technique formed the 5-element seal and directly enveloped the Thousand Saber King, suppressing him. After that, Lin Xian raised his foot and stepped on the Thousand Saber King's head. I am an ant? Then now that I am stepping on your head, what are you? Trash among the ants? Lin Xian revealed a cold smile. Time was indeed a good thing. It could allow some trash to use the advantage of time to climb to a high position. But in the end, trash was still trash. When he lost the power of time, in front of a peerless genius, he could not withstand a single blow. You are just a trash who took advantage of time and you dare to be arrogant in front of me. Lin Xian's voice was abnormally cold. It was like a cold sword piercing into the Thousand Saber King's heart. He was despised? He was actually despised by the other party. Moreover, he was called trash by the other party. The Thousand Saber King's lungs were about to explode from anger. That's right, he was about to explode from anger. The blood in his body was tumbling and he had suffered serious internal injuries. There was no other way. He had already lived for more than 2,000 years and had become an invincible king. It could be said that he was proud of the same price. Back then, when he was young, he was also a shocking genius. His path was smooth and he became an invincible king. But now he was actually despised by a kid in his 20s. He was called trash. Chapter 2651. Kid, you've become so eloquent. You can't kill me. As long as I leave this spiritual boat, it'll be your death. The Thousand-Blade King's voice was cold. His eyes were like two peerless heavenly blades as he stared at Lin Xian. Do you think you can still survive today? The dark red divine dragon also snorted coldly. It activated Flower Protector and charged forward. Boom boom boom. The Thousand-Blade King looked like he was struck by lightning as a few more bloody holes appeared on his body. However, at this time, a mysterious heavenly blade diagram formed on his body. He quickly rose into the air and fought against Flower Protector. Do you really think I don't have any trump cards? Flower Protector is powerful, but with your strength, you can't unleash its power. That's why you're ants. You don't even know how to use the treasure when it's in your hands. The Thousand-Blade King laughed maniacally again. Without Flower Protector, how could Sumo kill him? At most, he would just humiliate him. He would definitely get his revenge. Do you think I can't kill you without Flower Protector? Lin Xian waved his hand and recalled the Saint's Hand Bone to suppress the Thousand-Blade King to prevent him from escaping. Besides, the Saint's Fragment could be blocked with the Pagoda Fragment. Saint's Fragment? Seeing this scene, the Myriad Blade King was also extremely frightened. If Sumo used the Saint's Fragment, he could really threaten him. However, he wouldn't just sit there and wait for death. With a cold snort, tens of thousands of rays of light shot into the sky as the Thousand-Blade Domain appeared, trying to break free from the Five-Element Seal. However, Lin Xian used the Saint's Hand Bone to suppress the Scimitar Domain, so the Thousand-Blade King couldn't escape at all. Buzz. With a flash of light, Lin Xian unlocked the sixth seal on the ancient Dragon Abyss sword. A terrifying sword light shot into the sky. Sensing this sword light, the dark red dragon spat out saliva. The Thousand-Blade King was also shocked. Sumo was a small powerhouse, but he could unleash such sword chi. It was indeed surprising. He snorted coldly. You want to kill me with this little sword chi? You can try. You probably can't even break my defense. Without saying a word, the sword slashed at his neck. Instantly, a terrifying vibration sounded. The 10,000 Blade King was in so much pain that he kept rolling on the ground. The 10,000 Blade Domain emitted a cold light, but it was suppressed by the Saint's Hand Bone. Lin Xian did not use any bone attacks. Instead, he used all his strength to suppress his opponent. He knew that the trump cards of a peerless realm cultivator were extremely terrifying. He had to suppress his opponent in order to kill him. Buzz, the ancient Dragon Abyss sword, which had its 6 seals removed, emitted a resplendent light. As Lin Xian swung his arm, it ruthlessly slashed forward. With a clang, the sword landed on the opponent's head, emitting a thunderous sound. The flying spark sword pierced through the void. Countless large cracks appeared in the surrounding space. This sword was extremely terrifying. The Myriad Blade King was also struck until he saw stars and felt dizzy. However, his head did not split open. There was only a shallow scar on his head. Brat, I've said it before, it's useless. You can't break my defense at all. The Myriad Blade King revealed a ferocious expression. His eyes were bloodshot like a demon. No matter what you did to me today, when I catch you, I'll return it 10 times, 100 times. I'll let you taste the consequences of offending me. Damn it, old man, your skin is so thick. Lin Xian also frowned. Even the 6 seals could not hurt his opponent. The defense of an peerless realm cultivator was truly terrifying. It seemed that he could only use the great dragon sword soul. Lin Xian sighed. His expression became extremely solemn. Within his body, a dragon's roar sounded. Hearing this sound, the Myriad Blade King's expression changed. Damn it, dragon's roar. How could this guy use dragon's roar? He was already shocked by the dark red divine dragon's roar. However, he did not expect that this human brat in front of him could also use dragon's roar. What was going on? Could it be that the other party was not human? At this moment he was indeed stunned. However, what made him even more shocked was yet to come. Because in front of Lin Xian, a sword shadow appeared. The dragon-like sword shadow was very mysterious and emitted a monstrous killing intent. The moment it appeared, the Myriad Blade King's body turned cold, as if he had fallen into a 10,000-year-old ice cave. Damn it, what was this sword shadow? Finally, fear appeared in his eyes. Because he felt that his life was in danger. How could there be such a terrifying thing in his opponent's body? Seeing the other party's frightened eyes, Lin Xian revealed a cold smile. What, now you still think that I can't kill you? Damn brat, how dare you attack me? The Myriad Blade King screamed. He did feel that his life was in danger. How about this, the two of us discuss? You let me go and from now on I won't attack you again. How about it? He was really afraid and began to negotiate with the other party. Now you want to negotiate with me? When you were chasing me before, did you think of negotiating with me? As an Peerless Realm Cultivator, you shamelessly chased after a rising star like me. Don't you feel embarrassed? Now you want to negotiate? Too late. Today will be the day of your death. Lin Xian sneered, and the killing intent on his body grew colder and colder. The dragon-shaped sword shadow in front of him bloomed with a primordial power. Brat, I admit that you have many trump cards. But if you really want to kill me, it won't be that easy. The Myriad Blade King roared, and a mysterious blade pattern appeared on his body. It seemed that he wanted to counterattack. But Lin Xian didn't give him a chance at all. He grabbed the dragon-shaped sword shadow and slashed at the other party's head. The dragon's roar and the sword's cry rang out, and a peerless sword light filled the sky, piercing through all directions. This sword was incomparably terrifying. Crack. The Myriad Blade King screamed miserably and blood burst out, dyeing the surrounding void red. Lin Xian frowned. He realized that this sword had indeed injured the other party. However, it didn't directly split the other party's head. It only split open a third of the head. The physique of an Peerless Realm Cultivator was actually this strong. Lin Xian was shocked. It seemed that he had underestimated an Peerless Realm Cultivator. Fortunately, he had many trump cards. Otherwise, the consequences of rashly starting a fight with an Peerless Realm Cultivator would be terrifying. Brat, I want you dead. The Myriad Blade King crazily burned his spiritual energy. At this moment he was really going all out. Otherwise his body would really be split open. Boom. Boom. Terrifying power surged out and his split open head quickly healed. At the same time, it formed a huge rebound force that acted on the ancient dragon abyss sword. The ancient sword trembled and released countless sword chi. Lin Xian's arm was also numb from the shock. However, his eyes also burst with a cold light. Even now he still wanted to resist. He fully activated the great dragon sword soul, and the dragon-shaped sword shadow exploded with unparalleled power. Sword after sword. Lin Xian crazily attacked, and in the end the Myriad Blade King was split in half. The Myriad Blade King crazily screamed. As an Peerless Realm Cultivator, so what if he was split in half? As long as a small part was intact he could recover. Boom. Chapter 2652. Damn it, how was that possible? It couldn't heal. His body couldn't heal at all. There was a sharp sword aura left on the sword mark that he couldn't erase at all. What kind of sword aura was that? What kind of sword technique was that? What exactly was that sword shadow? Why was it more powerful than his 2,000 years of saber light? He didn't know. The Million Saber King was in despair. Did he really have to give up his body? The next moment he stared at Lin Xian and revealed a sinister smile. Kit, you actually made me lose my body. I won't let you go. However, I'll enjoy your body. There was a sinister aura in his voice. The Million Saber King knew how terrifying an invincible king's body was. Its defense was terrifying. If not for the mysterious sword shadow, the other party wouldn't have been able to break through his defense. Not only that, the blood contained endless power. Therefore, the Million Saber King didn't want to give up his body unless it was absolutely necessary. But now he was seriously injured. Moreover, although the other party was young and only a 7-star powerhouse, he had too many secrets. If he could snatch the other party's body, it wouldn't take more than a few years for him to become an invincible king again. More importantly, his body couldn't heal at all and his life would be threatened. Therefore, the Million Saber King decided to go all out. His soul rushed out of his body and turned into a torrent, rushing toward Lin Xian. Kid, go to hell. He flashed a ferocious smile and disappeared into Lin Xian's head in an instant. Not good, soul possession. The dark red dragon was shocked. He didn't expect the other party to be so decisive. He abandoned the invincible king's body and wanted to possess Lin Xian's body. However, his expression was very strange. Lin Xian's soul power was very strong, and he had the heavenly secret divine eyes. It wasn't weaker than an invincible king's soul. However, the other party was also an invincible king, and it was very terrifying. Therefore, he didn't know what the final result would be. He couldn't help. The battle of souls was very dangerous and it was in Lin Xian's mind. He could only wait at the side. This kid should be fine, right? The dark red godly dragon had nothing to do, so it could only use Flower Protector to completely shatter Million Blade King's body. At the same time, he unleashed his dragon's great divine ability and began to absorb the surrounding blood. This was the blood of an invincible king, and the energy it contained was extremely terrifying. On the other side, Lin Xian was in grave danger. He never expected that the other party would actually dare to seize his body. In an instant, a translucent figure appeared in his mind amidst the endless chaos. It was the Million Blade King. He looked around and laughed loudly. "Brat, get the hell out here. Once I destroy your soul, your body will be mine. Don't worry, I will make good use of your body and become a saint." He could see that the other party had great potential. It would not be difficult for him to become an invincible king. He could even become a saint. This made him very excited. One had to know that even though he had become an undefeatable king a long time ago, it was extremely difficult for him to take another step forward. However, with this body, things were different. "If you want to seize my soul, you really don't know what's good for you," Lin Xian sneered. In the next moment, a pair of golden eyes slowly appeared in the endless void. It was as if the eyes of a god were looking down. "Damn it, what is this thing?" Million Blade King was shocked, and his face became extremely ugly. He was now in his soul state and ordinary attacks really could not hurt him. However, the pair of golden eyes in front of him had a mysterious power. It was a great threat to him. In fact, this threat was not weaker than the dragon-shaped sword shadow. Damn it, why does this kid have so many secrets in his body? In addition to the sword shadow, there was also a pair of golden eyes. What kind of eyes are these? Million Blade King was about to go crazy. However, since he had already entered, he would not let this go. He formed a seal with his palms and launched a soul attack. Soul Harvest. Many soul blades appeared on his body. There were a total of 9 of them and they spun rapidly, attacking Lin Xian's soul. In his opinion, no matter how strong the other party was, so what if he had many trump cards? The two of them were not on the same level at all. He was an invincible king, and the other party was only a 7-star almighty. There was a real gap in the soul between the two of them. He could easily crush the other party and destroy the other party's soul. Ah! Go to hell. The 9 soul blades spun rapidly and crazily. However, they suddenly burned in midair. They burned fiercely. These soul blades were evolved from Million Blade King's soul. Once they burned, Million Blade King's soul directly screamed. He was rolling in midair. He was extremely frightened. Damn it, how is this possible? How can he hurt me? He was too shocked. Why is the other party's soul so strange? You don't know what death is. Go to hell. Lin Xian's voice was cold, and his pair of golden eyes looked down on the world. In his left eye, golden runes spun, and the floating light secret technique was activated instantly. Buzz, Million Blade King's soul was pulled into a strange space. This space was not big and it was just a small black room. The dim light flickered. Million Blade King was surprised to find that his whole body was hanging in the red, and his limbs were bound by the soul chains. He could not move at all. In front of him, there was a pair of invisible hands controlling all kinds of weapons and stabbing at his body crazily. Damn it, soul space. You can actually create a soul space. He was too shocked. This was an extremely terrifying secret technique of the soul. You know quite a lot. Since this is the case, I don't need to explain too much. This is my floating light space. In here, a moment outside is equivalent to 100 years here. From now on, you will receive 100 years of arrows piercing your heart. Poo pew pew, a miserable sound rang out. Million Blade King screamed again and again, but he could not struggle at all. Because this was not a real injury but an illusion. It was an illusion that he could not resist. However, this pain was real and it could be said that it was extremely strange. A moment was 100 years. This time, Million Blade King could be said to be incomparably miserable. The outside world paused for 3 seconds. In other words, Million Blade King endured 300 years of arrows piercing his heart. Then, a soul flame jumped out from the right eye of the golden eye in the sky. Soul burning. Uffa. Million Blade King, who had just come out of the illusion space, screamed again. This time he screamed even more miserably. Because this was not an illusion but a soul attack. It directly ignited his soul. He wanted to extinguish it but he could not do it. In the end, in the soul flame that filled the sky, he turned into nothingness. He was completely killed and disappeared. With his soul destroyed, Million Blade King could no longer revive. An invincible king who stood at the peak of the continent, was killed by a 7-star almighty by a young genius. Chapter 2653. Lin Xian also slowly exhaled. His face was pale as he rubbed his head. This battle was not easy for him at all. He had used up a lot of soul power and there was not much spiritual power in his body. Moreover, at this moment he had used up all his trump cards. It could not be helped. His opponent was an invincible king, the most powerful existence in the king competition. It was not easy to kill such a person. However, in the end he succeeded. Kid, you're awake. Seeing Lin Xian's body move, the dark red dragon also flew over. Are you alright? Where's that old fart? I've already killed him. From now on, there's no king of 10,000 blades. Is he dead? That's great. The dark red dragon was also excited. No matter how arrogant he was, he still chased us all day long. Now he's finally dead. In that case, even if we encounter an invincible king in the future, we won't have to be afraid. Just suppress him. Activate the array formation, suppress his cultivation, and destroy him. The dark red dragon was too excited. This was definitely a powerful trump card. One had to know that their current strength was not enough to compete with an invincible king. However, if their cultivation was suppressed, they could kill him. The corner of Lin Xian's mouth twitched. It's not that easy. I've already used up a quarter of my resources. If there are a few more invincible kings, I won't have any resources left. How am I supposed to cultivate then? He shook his head. He did not want to use this unless he had no other choice. Speaking of resources, his eyes suddenly lit up. That guy's storage ring? It's here. Let's see what treasures are inside. Lin Xian took it and probed it. However, he was soon ejected. That was because there was a protective seal on the other party's storage ring. It belonged to an invincible king. Humph, I've already killed the king of 10,000 blades, let alone a mere seal. Lin Xian snorted coldly. A piercing sword light burst out from his eyes and directly pierced through the seal. In the next moment, his soul probed in. Then he exclaimed in surprise. Damn, I've struck gold. He was too excited because this storage ring was truly a huge treasure trove. Even he was dazzled by it. The dark red divine dragon's soul also probed inside. In the next moment he cried out in surprise. Damn, is this the wealth of an unrivaled king? That was way too powerful. Damn it. Now all I want to do is rob invincible kings. He also cried out in surprise. Previously they had killed quite a number of peerless almighties. Among them, the crimson divine dragon was getting pickier and pickier. He was only interested in the storage rings of the 4 great battle monarchs. However, compared to an invincible king, the 4 war monarchs were nothing. Even if the items in the 4 great kings' rings were added together, they wouldn't have half of what this invincible king had. Lin Xian was even more delighted. This storage ring directly replenished a quarter of the resources he had used. Moreover, it had given him a lot more. He did a quick calculation and found that the entire ring of holding was equivalent to 1/3 of his total resources. He had to admit that it really made him shocked and excited. It seemed that it was not impossible to use this method to kill invincible kings in the future. Only a quarter of it was consumed and they could obtain even more resources. This was definitely a profitable business. Of course, this was just a thought. He wouldn't casually provoke an ordinary invincible king. However, if someone like the Million-Blade Monarch came to kill him, he wouldn't hold back. After removing the formation, Lin Xian and the Crimson Divine Dragon once again landed on the black earth. The two of them didn't go out but sat cross-legged on the ground to cultivate. While Lin Xian was in the process of killing the Million-Blade Monarch's soul, the Crimson Divine Dragon had already used the Pagoda Fragment to collect the Million-Blade Monarch's Saint Fragment. This was another huge treasure. In their hands they already had the fragments of 3 saints, as well as numerous heaven-grade treasures. Especially the Million-Blade Monarch's blue longsword, which was a mid-grade heaven-grade artifact. The Crimson Divine Dragon was pleasantly surprised to have so many treasures in his hands. He already had an idea. He was prepared to use these treasures and the Saint Fragment to form a super powerful killing formation. A killing formation formed with the God Fragment and heaven-grade artifacts would definitely be terrifying to the extreme. It might even be able to kill an invincible king. Thinking of this, he was very excited. He had to implement this idea. On the other side, Lin Xian began to swallow all kinds of treasures to quickly recover his strength. In fact, while Lin Xian was fighting with the Million-Blade Monarch on the other side, a door opened in the sky. A few figures descended. They were the elites of the Immortal Palace. This time there were 2 protectors. The Great Protector, the 6 protectors, and a figure. It was a woman in a black dress and her face was covered by a black veil. However, the aura on her body was not weaker than the 2 protectors at all. Obviously, she was also an invincible king. As soon as the 3 of them descended, Their gazes swept across all directions. Soon they all frowned. Sure enough, someone had sealed off this area. Let's do it and send a message to the Yi family, the Great Protector said in a deep voice. The 6 protectors took out exquisite artifacts and began to prepare to send the message. The appearance of these 3 people also attracted the attention of those mysterious forces. Oh no, an invincible king has appeared. In the sky, exclamations came one after another. Soon, in a certain mountain peak, a few mysterious people in black robes quickly moved out. These 3 people were extremely terrifying. They tore through the void and charged out. These were 3 invincible kings. Soon they discovered the Great Protector and the others. With a furious roar, they directly attacked without saying anything. Buzz, a long sword streaked across the sky, emitting an aura that made people tremble. Countless sword lights pierced through the void and slashed downwards. The scene was extremely terrifying. Another person formed a seal with his palm, forming a mountain and river that slammed down from the sky. The last person opened his mouth and spat out a black sea that enveloped the Great Protector and the others. As soon as they attacked, the 3 of them were going for the kill. Obviously they would not give the other party any chance. The other party's 3 invincible kings had come here for no reason. It was obviously related to the Yi family. They would definitely not let the Yi family have any reaction. Old 6, send the message. Little Wu and I will fight against them. The Great Protector took a step forward and took out a red spear in his hand. With a thrust of the spear, the sword lights that filled the sky instantly shattered. The terrifying Black Sea was also torn apart. The Great Protector charged towards the 2 invincible kings alone. The woman in the black dress also stretched out her jade-like hand and struck out with a mysterious palm technique. She fought against the black-robed man who used the seal of mountains and rivers. Courting death. The 2 invincible kings were furious. The other party wanted to fight the 2 of them alone? What a joke. They were all invincible kings. How dare he fight the 2 of them alone? The 2 of them revealed sinister smiles and decided to use the fiercest method to kill the other party. One of them summoned a black ocean, which transformed into terrifying demonic beasts. Their huge bodies stood up from the sea, emitting monstrous killing intent. They pounced towards the Great Protector. Chapter 2654. The Great Protector's expression was cold. With a cold snort, the red spear in his hand erupted with endless blood light. His aura also burst out from his body. He was like a supreme god king sweeping across all directions. Boom, boom. After an intense battle, the Great Protector was fighting 1 against 2, but he wasn't at a disadvantage. This made the 2 black-robed men's faces filled with shock. Damn it. The 3rd black-robed man was also stunned. Who was this person? How could he be so powerful? He separated a wisp of his soul and looked to the side. A cold voice sounded. You should be worried about yourself. Countless runes flickered in the black-robed woman's palm, forming a white jade pagoda that directly suppressed down. With a bang, the black-robed man was sent flying. Damn it. The black-robed man roared angrily. With mountains and rivers in the sky, he charged over again. The battle between the 2 sides was extremely terrifying. Later on, the 6 protectors activated a terrifying forbidden artifact and began to transmit news to the Yi family. The Yi family was an ancient family, an emperor family. They ruled countless territories and no one dared to provoke them. The place they were in had a huge spirit vein surrounded by spirit mountains. Spirit springs gushed out. It could be said to be a paradise on earth. At this moment, in the sky above the Yi family, space suddenly split open. Runes interweaved and covered the sky. Seeing this scene, the Yi family's elders rushed into the sky. Who dares to behave atrociously in my Yi family? Following this voice, 8 elders appeared in the sky. Their auras were sharp. In the mountains and rivers below the Yi family, countless formations flickered. Clearly, if the situation wasn't right, they would immediately activate the Great Protector formation and attack. The Yi family's disciples and martial artists also raised their heads and discussed spiritedly. Someone actually dared to act recklessly in my Yi family? What kind of situation was this? Where did the big crack come from? These people discussed, but in the crack, countless runes interweaved and a voice sounded. Yi family's friend, there is no need to panic. I am Immortal Palace's protector. This time, Immortal Palace's master came to Eastern Wasteland and discovered that your Yi family's sacred body, Yi Wudao, is being chased by a mysterious force. Therefore we hurried over to deliver the news. What? Wudao is being chased? Hearing this, the Yi family's elders were stunned. Their eyes were filled with vigilance. You say you are from Immortal Palace, but how do you prove it? Besides, who dares to chase after our Wudao? They didn't believe it. Do you believe it or not? You will immediately go out. The area within a radius of a few million miles around the Yi residence had already been sealed off. No news could be transmitted over. We used Immortal Palace's restricted artifact, used tremendous magical force, and only then did we tear open space and enter. What? The Yi family was... The elders didn't believe the great protector formations as. Teams flew out one after another. They rode on clouds, immortal cranes and spirit boats moving out quickly. Soon news? There's a mysterious person. The 8 elders' faces fell, and they hurriedly contacted Tyrannical and the others. Although they hadn't contacted Leaf Dao Denier for a long time, they didn't think anything unexpected had happened. After all, who in the entire world? Who in the world? But this time, the situation was really beyond their expectations. Not good. Elder, I can't contact the Saint Physique. They knew something had happened because Tyrannical couldn't get in touch. That was impossible unless someone had cut off the connection or Tyrannical was being hunted down. However, the truth was that both of these things had happened. Fellow Taoists from Immortal Palace, do you know where Wu Dao is? The old elder of the Yi family hurriedly asked. They were too anxious. We don't know. However, I think you should first destroy the surrounding formation. At the very least, you should let the news in. Otherwise, you will never find Yi Wudao. Many thanks to Immortal Palace for the reminder. The Yi family elders' eyes shone brightly as they hurried into action. Boom. The sound of a bell rang throughout the entire Yi clan, spreading in all directions. The Yi clan immediately took action. Countless elders and geniuses came out of seclusion one after another. Even the clan leader was startled. Soon, the family lord called for a family meeting. When they learned that Yi Wudao's life was in danger, they all became nervous. Wipe out everything around you. Bring your holy weapons. I will discuss this with the Grand Elder. If necessary, we will use imperial weapons. The Yi family lord was a middle-aged man. He was very dignified, and at this moment he was like a divine king. There was nothing they could do. Yi Wudao was too important to them. Therefore they had no choice but to attack with all their might. The elders, invincible kings, and young experts all moved out. Among them, many elders held undamaged holy weapons. Some experts also took out the family's forbidden weapons. They all moved out, sweeping in all directions. The Yi family lord also turned around and went to the family's forbidden area to meet with the Grand Elders. Firstly, he wanted the living fossil elder to help. Secondly, he needed the help of the Grand Elders to revive the imperial weapon. It seemed that the Yi family lord was really angry. He didn't say that out of anger. He was really going to do it. Boom. In the sky, a long sword soared into the clouds. Its biting cold light swept in all directions. A terrifying holy aura quickly swept out. It was revived. An undamaged holy weapon was directly revived by the joint efforts of the Grand Elders. A terrifying pressure enveloped a radius of millions of li. At this moment, the entire sky was illuminated, and the light spread out for millions of li. The martial artists in a radius of millions of li all raised their heads at this moment, their faces filled with fear. Heavens, what was going on? Someone used a holy weapon. Who was it? Nonsense, it had to be the Yi family. The martial artists in the nearby cities looked at the resplendent light in the sky and trembled. The Yi family used a holy weapon? What? Were they going to start a war again? No one knew. These people didn't know about Yi Wudao. Moreover, no one was idle enough to go to the Yi family's territory. Buzz. Just as they were discussing excitedly, another ray of light exploded in the sky. A purple saber light appeared in the sky, bringing with it divine lightning. In an instant, it illuminated millions of li heavens. It's another saint weapon that's in perfect condition. What was going on with the Yi family? Boom. A green hammer floated up and down. It was also incomparably terrifying. A third holy weapon. Everyone was stunned. Many people sat on the ground. The 3 undamaged holy weapons were revived, forming a triangle that suppressed the heavens and the earth. A terrifying holy aura swept through the world. At this moment, the mysterious black-robed men's expressions changed. Not good, the Yi family still found out. Damn it, you actually sent a message. Chapter 2655. Damn it. How did they do it? The group was completely stunned. After all, they had set up an ancient restrictive spell formation, which was extremely terrifying. Ordinary methods wouldn't have been able to transmit any information. And yet, The three people in front of them had actually been able to transmit information to the Yi clan. That was completely beyond their expectations. How could they possibly have known that Immortal Palace had existed for a very long time, and that its origins were extremely mysterious and terrifying? Furthermore, they had used a forbidden item from Immortal Palace. That was why they had been able to quickly notify the Yi clan. What do we do? The black-robed figures had unsightly expressions. Even further away, a tall figure who looked like a devil king was frowning. Had they been discovered? But we've already been delayed for a long time. I wonder if they've succeeded. I don't think so. Otherwise we would have received the news by now. The mysterious figures next to him also shook their heads. Their expressions were very unsightly. They had been chasing Leaf Dao Denier for a very long time, but had yet to succeed. Furthermore, they had already sent out many invincible kings. Was a trifling Leaf Dao Denier really that difficult to kill? Have most of your people retreat. Don't fight them head-on. However, guard every stronghold that leads back to the Yi clan. If you find Leaf Dao Denier, send me a message immediately. The remaining invincible kings will stay here with me. This time we'll see what kind of power the Yi clan has. With that, a vicious smile appeared on his face. The demonic aura on his body pierced through the clouds, forming a demonic cloud that spread in all directions. In the blink of an eye, the sky for millions of kilometers turned completely dark. Were those dark clouds or devil energy? Off in the distance, the martial artists in the cities looked up at the sky. As the sky grew darker and darker, their faces filled with terror. That was because they could sense a cold, killing intent emanating from the dark clouds. The dark clouds seemed to crush everything in their path. Ah! Who would have thought that you'd still find out? Just as everyone was feeling puzzled, a loud laughter came from the horizon. It turned into rolling thunder and swept out in all directions. When the martial artists in the distant cities heard the voice, they were so shocked that they prostrated themselves on the ground, unable to withstand the power. Not good. Who would have thought that there would be someone so terrifying among the mysterious figures? The Great Protector's expression also changed. He brought the 6 old men and the black-dressed woman, Xiao Wu, and the 3 of them quickly retreated. They did not continue fighting because their main mission this time was to inform the Yi clan. Now they had accomplished their mission. Where was the palace master? He had to find him quickly or else he would be in danger. The 6 protectors were extremely anxious. The Great Protector's eyes flickered. There was no rush. The palace master had an imprint of the Immortal Palace on his body, and we could sense it. As he spoke, he formed a seal with his palm, and a disc array appeared in front of him, flickering non-stop. In the end he heaved a sigh of relief. It was not very far from us. It was less than 2 million miles away. Let's go and meet with the Temple Lord first. The Great Guardian waved his hand, and the 3 of them soared into the sky. However, when they had just flown 30,000 li they were stopped. Countless black-clothed individuals descended. The ones leading the group were none other than the peerless emperors that were fighting the Great Protector and his crew. You want to leave just like that? How dare you ruin my plan? Do you think we will let you go? Capture the 3 of them and kill them. Shredded into pieces. Light exploded in the sky and the 3 peerless emperors roared. A shocking battle erupted, and it was extremely terrifying. However, this battle was ignored by the demonic clouds that filled the sky. That was because the demonic clouds were too terrifying. It was as if hell had descended from the universe, causing people to tremble. Who are you people? How dare you oppose the Yi clan? Do you want to die? On the Yi clan's side, an elder also roared. Golden light bloomed in the sky, and the 3 great sage soldiers erupted with incomparably terrifying light, forming a world of light that blocked the pitch-black clouds. Damn it, if anything happens to Wu Dao, the Yi clan will definitely not let you off. Every single one of you who participated in this plan, and every single one of your clans, will be uprooted. The Yi clan will exterminate all of you. The Yi clan experts roared. They had really gone crazy and all of them were surging with killing intent. How domineering. How arrogant the Yi clan was. The mysterious voice sounded again. As expected of an emperor clan. However, this threat is useless against me. This time Yi Wudao will definitely die. As for the rest of you, stay here obediently and I won't touch you. Otherwise don't blame me for starting a massacre. At this point, the dark clouds in the sky churned, and then formed ferocious heads. They were like the heads of demons and they roared. Space shattered and countless bolts of lightning surged. A terrifying aura descended on the world. Accompanied by those terrifying heads, the dark clouds began to spin, forming a huge vortex in a radius of 1,000,000 miles. From the vortex, a black death demonic blade appeared. Slash. With a slash, heaven and earth were split in half. Countless mountains and rivers below shattered, and the entire space cracked open, forming a crack of millions of miles that continued to spread. It was as if this slash was going to split the entire Yi clan in half. How dare you attack the Yi clan? You really don't know life from death. The Yi clan elder snorted coldly and countless figures flickered. Activate the formation. A cold voice sounded, and the Yi clan elder also walked out. He looked at the sky with a cold expression. He gave the order, and the land of the Yi clan within a radius of millions of miles began to flicker. At the center, the largest formation was formed, and it spread to the surrounding area. One formation after another appeared, emitting a peerless aura to block the attacks that filled the sky. This was their territory. Who could break through? However, the power of this slash was still beyond their imagination. They even suspected that a saint had made a move, because this slash had shattered countless formations, and many formations within a radius of a few million miles were shattered. However, the main formations within a radius of tens of thousands of miles were not affected. Who was this guy? How could he be so terrifying? No matter how terrifying he was only one person. Our Yi clan has tens of millions of experts. It would be easy to kill him. They were preparing to attack, but in the sky, other than that fiend-like figure, more than 10 figures appeared. Each of them emitted a peerless aura. They were invincible kings and extremely terrifying ones. Damn it, there were so many terrifying invincible kings. The Yi clan was shocked. Although the dozen or so unrivaled kings were no threat to them, the strength that they had displayed had left them astonished. What kind of force was this? It was definitely not a small force. Which sacred ground was it? Chapter 2656. They didn't know that the feeling of being tricked was too unpleasant. A huge battle broke out between the two sides. It was extremely terrifying. On the other side, Lin Xian and the dark red dragon were recovering on the black earth. Suddenly, the black earth trembled again. The two of them opened their eyes. Damn it, could it be that someone was coming again? The two of them probed out with their souls, wanting to see who dared to kill them. Even if it was an invincible king, they would dare to fight against him this time. However, there was no one. However, the surrounding wind and thunder rumbled, and many large cracks appeared. Terrifying energy bombarded the black earth. In an instant, the black earth flew tens of thousands of miles. Damn, what's going on? Could it be that a saint had come? The dark red dragon was shocked. Damn it, did the two of us attract a saint's pursuit? Hearing this, Lin Xian's eyelids twitched. Don't talk nonsense. How could such a person appear and attack us? He was also startled. The black earth said. Actually, when the two of you were fighting with the invincible king, such a situation had already happened outside. It was just that the power back then wasn't so great. Now, it seemed to be getting more and more terrifying. What exactly happened? Lin Xian and the dark red dragon were puzzled. Indeed, they had been hiding in the black earth. Previously, they were fighting with the Thousand-Blade King. After the battle, they resumed their cultivation. Therefore, they didn't pay attention to the situation outside. They didn't expect that the outside was already so dangerous. It was that mysterious force that was fighting with the Yi family. The Yi family had many experts with intact sacred weapons. However, they didn't expect that this mysterious force was so terrifying. There were also many terrifying invincible kings. Moreover, one of them was extremely terrifying. Did you see the dark clouds above your head? It was summoned by that person. It was too powerful, no weaker than a sacred weapon. Damn. Lin Xian and the dark red dragon finally saw the scene outside clearly. They looked at the dark sky in the distance. There were a few rays of light flickering like the sun. Those should be the intact sacred weapons. The two sides were actually fighting. It seemed that the Yi family had received the news. Thinking of this, Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. It should be Xing Tian and the others who made a move. However, did they make a move in the Immortal Palace or here? They should be fine. Kid, it's too dangerous here. Let's get some distance away first. The dark red divine dragon suggested. Lin Xian controlled the black earth and the two of them quickly retreated. They retreated about 3 million miles and then stopped. But not long after, Lin Xian frowned again. This was because he felt a few sharp auras coming from behind him. What's going on? He hurriedly used his heaven-tier divine eyes, and a pair of golden eyes appeared in the sky, looking down on everything within a million miles. Soon, his eyes lit up in surprise. Leaf Dao Denier had appeared. What? You're saying that kid is still alive? That's great. The crimson divine dragon heaved a sigh of relief. How is he? Is he okay? Lin Xian's expression became serious. Things weren't looking good because there were several unrivaled kings chasing after him. Several people were chasing after him. The Crimson Dragon grinned. The Yi clan really was strong, especially Yi Daodenier. Being chased by so many invincible kings, he was actually able to survive and hold on for so long. It was truly surprising. The two of them had just killed an invincible king. Naturally, they knew how powerful invincible kings were. Don't make sarcastic remarks here. Let's hurry up and help him. Lin Xian controlled the Black Earth and quickly attacked. Yes, it was Yi Daodenier who was escaping 1,000,000 miles away. At this moment there were only 4 elders left beside him. It could be said that he was in a miserable state. Even Yi Daodenier was covered in blood and his face was pale. From the looks of it, he was also heavily injured. After all, being chased by so many invincible kings, it was already a miracle that he was still alive. Kid, you can't escape. Behind him, an invincible king laughed sinisterly and waved his hand. A large bell that was flickering with light flew out. It enlarged in the sky and descended from the sky, wanting to envelop Yi Daodenier and the others. Bus. The bell was dark green with many runes engraved on it. It looked very simple. At a glance it was a treasure. Yes, it was a mid-grade heaven-tier treasure. At this moment, when an invincible king used it, it could suppress everything. Rumble. As expected, when the bell fell, the void was instantly torn apart. Countless runes flashed in the sky, and wind and thunder rumbled. A strange power enveloped Yi Daodenier and the 4 elders of the Yi clan. Yi Daodenier didn't resist. Instead, he pushed the golden chariot and fled like crazy. He didn't have much strength left, so it wasn't wise for him to fight with the other party. More importantly, they were now very close to the Yi family. As long as he entered the Yi clan's range of influence, he would be safe. With a boom, heaven and earth shattered. The bell missed and didn't injure Yi Daodenier. However, Yi Daodenier and the others were still pushed back by the shockwave. Kid, you don't have much power left, do you? Let's see how many more times you can escape. The green-robed king behind him sneered when he saw that his attack had missed. An elder of the Yi clan snorted coldly. Damn it, when we get back to the Yi clan you'll die. They were furious. 4 of their elders had died, and Yi Daodenier was seriously injured. If it weren't for the fact that they were protecting him, and that he had used the projection of his ancestor, he would have been killed long ago. You want to go back to the Yi clan? How naive. We've already set up an inescapable net for millions of kilometers around the Yi clan. Do you really think you can escape? If you had fled to some other place, we might have been in a bit of a pickle. But you chose to flee to the Yi clan. Isn't that the same as walking right into a trap? In fact, we didn't even need to do anything. All you had to do was run a bit more and we'd kill you. What? An inescapable net was set up near the Yi clan. The faces of the elders of the Yi clan fell. Yi Daodenier snorted coldly. Elders, don't listen to him. He's definitely trying to interfere with us. The Yi clan is an imperial clan. How could someone possibly be able to set up an inescapable net without anyone noticing? Yi Daodenier's words made the 4 elders feel much more at ease. However, the 3 invincible kings behind him were laughing coldly. You don't know the difference between life and death. Go ahead and try. The red-robed king was also laughing coldly. Even now, you still dare to question our strength? Your Yi clan might be strong, but there are plenty of terrifying powers out there. That's especially true of the people who are trying to kill you this time. Chapter 2657. Damn it. The few elders gritted their teeth. This matter was too strange. Leaf Daodenier didn't say a word. His face was cold as he urged the war god chariot forward. Whoosh. The group moved very quickly. As they spoke, they had already traveled more than 300,000 miles. During this time, the invincible kings attacked a few more times. However, Leaf Daodenier controlled the war god chariot to quickly dodge. Every time he dodged, his face paled a little. Clearly, this kind of dodging was very taxing on him. If he persisted a little longer, he would reach the family. Leaf Daodenier gritted his teeth, his eyes flashing. Behind him, the invincible kings sneered. It seems that you are really naive. Since that's the case, let us show you our inescapable net. As he spoke, the green-robed old man activated his jade-green bell. Immediately, the sound of the bell filled the air and spread out, forming a strange sound wave. Clearly, he was notifying his companions. Buzz, buzz. Not long after, countless black clouds appeared in the surroundings. They were like demons and monsters rolling toward them. There were these terrifying dark clouds in all directions. In an instant they completely enveloped the surrounding tens of thousands of miles. Not good. Seeing this strange scene, the Yi family elder's expression changed. Leaf Daudinir's face was gloomy. Charge. He shouted coldly and activated the war god chariot. It exploded with millions of golden rays, and at the same time, an immortal king phantom appeared on his body, roaring to the 9 heavens. He charged forward like a madman. In front of him, the black clouds dispersed and black-robed men appeared, laughing coldly. When they saw Leaf Daudinir, their eyes bloomed with fiery red light. It's him. It's that kid. Catch him. Reward him heavily. They screamed crazily. But soon many of them were sent flying. Most of them were almighties and peerless experts. Although Leaf Daudinir was seriously injured, the war god chariot he was driving was an extremely terrifying ancient treasure. Moreover, the immortal king phantom wasn't something that just anyone could resist. In an instant, hundreds of black-robed men were sent flying, vomiting blood. The weaker ones were directly killed. Blood dyed the world red. A terrifying scene surrounded them. A bunch of ants want to stop me? When the other black-robed men saw this scene, they were shocked. Is this a saint physique? He was too powerful. Damn it, looking at his appearance, he was still seriously injured. To think that it could still unleash such power. No wonder he was able to escape from the hands of so many unrivaled kings. These people were extremely shocked. That's great. Let's get out of here. When the elders of the Yi family saw this, they regained their hope. Leaf Daudinir went all out, and his golden war chariot shot through the air like a bolt of golden lightning. Boom. However, it was at this moment that a loud explosion rang out between heaven and earth. A streak of black demonic chi pierced through and turned into a black sun, crashing into the golden chariot. With a hong sound, heaven and earth collapsed. A terrifying black hole extended outwards, and the golden war chariot was blasted backwards. Puff puff puff, Leaf Daudinir and the other 4 elders coughed up mouthfuls of blood, their faces filled with terror. Damn it, who are you? You still want to leave? In front of them, a tall figure walked out. He wore black armor and held a black hammer in his hand. His body emitted a monstrous power. He was the one who had unleashed that attack earlier. An invincible king. The elders of the Yi family were shocked, and their faces became extremely ugly. Leaf Daudinir frowned. Damn it. Another invincible king had appeared. The situation was critical. Their escape route had been blocked, and 4 invincible kings had locked them in the air. There were also thousands of black-robed men around them, eyeing them like tigers watching their prey. Moreover, this was only the vicinity. Who knew if there were more black-robed men ahead? Damn it. Could it be that the Yi family was really surrounded? The elders of the Yi family were filled with terror. They hadn't believed it before, but now it seemed that these people really had set up an inescapable net around the Yi family. Boom. In this moment of crisis, a dazzling light exploded in the distance, as though it were an eternal light. Everyone within 10 million kilometers saw it, and they all looked up. Leaf Daudinir and the other elders of the Yi family looked up. The black-robed men also frowned, their expressions grave. What's going on? Someone was fighting. The elders of the Yi family cried out in alarm. It's the aura of our holy weapons. They were too excited. It seemed that the family had discovered them. Leaf Daudinir breathed a sigh of relief, but then he was shocked. From the looks of it, the 2 sides were fighting fiercely. Just who could possibly stand up to the Yi family? So what if they're fighting? Our people aren't people you can imagine. Don't expect them to come and save you. The 4 invincible kings laughed coldly, while Leaf Daudinir's expression darkened. Elders, hurry up and send word to the family. I can hold them off for a while. Actually, there was no need for Leaf Daudinir to say anything. The elders of the Yi family had already sent word. Hurry up and capture him. A long night is fraught with dreams. The green-robed king said coldly. They didn't dare to be careless. The 4 invincible kings attacked together, while the surrounding black-robed men watched from a distance. Kit, you're going to die obediently. The 4 of them laughed savagely, and terrifying light exploded. The 4 invincible kings were sent flying, and the surrounding black-robed men were even more shocked. Damn it. What just happened? Meanwhile, Leaf Daudinir urged the golden chariot to flee. As it turned out, he had just detonated a mid-heaven tier treasure. The power of the explosion was so terrifying that it had forced the 4 invincible kings to retreat. Kid, you won't be able to escape. The 4 invincible kings' expressions darkened. The explosion had forced them back, but it wasn't enough to threaten them. Snorting coldly, they attacked again. At the same time, they issued orders to stop him. The surrounding black-robed men unleashed furious lotuses, filling the sky with light. Leaf Dao Denier was in a critical situation. Was he really going to die here? The four elders' faces were incomparably pale. They were already at their doorstep. Dying here was too depressing. Leaf Dao Denier was covered in blood. Although he had a saint body, fighting invincible kings was too much for him. And 4 invincible kings at that. In the blink of an eye, many of his bones were broken and the golden light dimmed. The immortal king projection let out an unwilling roar. Don't struggle, kid. You're going to die today. The 4 invincible kings laughed coldly. Just as they were about to succeed, off in the distance, another shocking wave of energy came. What's going on? Are the Yi family people coming? Or are they our people? When they looked up, the first thing they saw was black light. Seeing this, the 4 invincible kings breathed sighs of relief. They had used black robes, black light and black energy to conceal themselves. Therefore, when they saw the black light, they immediately assumed it was one of their own. It was over. There was no hope. Leaf Dao Denier and the Yi family elders were ashen. From the looks of it, more reinforcements had arrived. What could they do? Chapter 2658. The black light that came from afar suddenly shot out 4 pillars of light that reached the sky and blasted over. The light was very fast, arriving beside them in an instant. It carried a monstrous aura. Then, the 4 invincible kings beside them were sent flying. The surrounding black-robed people who were affected directly split open and turned into a bloody mist. In an instant, all kinds of miserable cries rang out. The terrifying light swept through the 9 heavens. What happened? The Yi family elders were stunned. Yi Wudao seized the opportunity to activate the golden chariot, forming a terrifying defense that wrapped around them. Perhaps it wasn't one of them. The black-robed people screamed. Damn it, who was it? They retreated like crazy. The 4 invincible kings were also sent flying. Damn it, their gazes were like sharp heavenly blades, piercing through the void as they stared ahead. Spirit boat, it's a spirit boat. The black light in front of them gradually approached. Then they could finally see it clearly. The black light was a spirit boat. It was abnormally simple and the flickering runes on it dazzled them. Damn it, it doesn't seem to be one of us. The black-robed people roared. Yi Wudao and the others were also shocked. However, at that moment Lin Xian's figure appeared. Wudao, are you okay? Brother Lin, it's you. Seeing Lin Xian, Wudao was also surprised, but then he smiled. The Yi family elders were even more excited. Hall Master Lin, please save him. They recognized Lin Xian. He was also a peerless genius, and behind him stood Immortal Palace. He was very mysterious. If he helped, perhaps they really had a chance to escape. Lin Xian smiled. I came here to help Wudao. Don't worry, Immortal Palace has already notified the Yi family. The Yi family has already begun to move. Come with me first. As he spoke, he waved his hand, and a black light enveloped Yi Wudao and the Yi family elders. Lin Xian wanted to pull them into the black earth. Once inside, no matter how fierce the enemy's attacks were, they wouldn't be able to break through the black earth. They would be safe. Damn brat, how dare you! Seeing that the other party wanted to help, the black-robed people roared crazily. The 4 invincible kings, however, laughed loudly. Reckless brat. Since you're courting death, I'll kill you too. They didn't care at all because they could see that the other party was only a 7-star expert. Such a cultivation base was like an ant in front of them. How dare he resist? The Black Hammer Invincible King waved the hammer in his hand and smashed it out. When Lin Xian saw this, he sneered and entered the Black Earth, using the Black Earth to block the attack. With a bang, countless cracks appeared all around. The Black Earth was unharmed just based on the 4 of you old farts. You can't kill me. Lin Xian Wudao of Immortal Palace, Yi Wudao Lin Xian of the Yi Wudao of Immortal, but this kid. But now the lad before them was no pushover. At the very least, the spirit vessel in his hands was of a high grade, allowing him to withstand their attacks. Don't even think about it. The green-robed Invincible King and the Black Hammer Invincible King were very fast. In an instant they arrived beside Yi Wudao and the others. They actually followed the beam of light and flew forward together. Soon the 2 of them entered the Black Earth. Ah! Seeing this, the remaining 2 Invincible Kings laughed crazily. The surrounding black-robed people also looked ferocious. So what if the other party's spirit boat was powerful? Their 2 Invincible Kings went in and killed everyone. Soon the other party's corpse would be thrown out. But after waiting for 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, no corpse came out. Not only that, the Black Earth turned into a stream of light, knocking dozens of black-robed people away and flying forward. Damn it, what's going on? The surrounding black-robed people were stunned. The two invincible kings were also stunned. Damn it. Chase after him. We can't let them escape. Contact the people in front and have them set up the Skynet formation to kill them. Although they didn't know what was going on, they wouldn't let the other party escape. On the other side, when Yi Wudao and the Yi clan elders entered the Black Earth, they breathed a sigh of relief. However, when they saw the two invincible kings following them, their faces turned ugly. Not good, this time they were really dead. Inside the spirit boat, they couldn't escape even if they wanted to. Let's see where you can run this time. Damned ant, kneel down obediently and accept your death. The two invincible kings looked at Yi Wudao and the others and sneered. The green-robed invincible king stared at Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon. You two dare to interfere with our business? In a moment I'll let you know what it means to be torn to shreds. You'll wish you were dead. Brother Lin, I've implicated you. Yi Wudao's expression was ugly. No matter. Lin Xian waved his hand, not nervous at all. Wasn't it just two invincible kings? He couldn't fight them before, but with the formation suppressing his cultivation base, that wasn't necessarily the case. Although it would consume half of his resources, if he could get the rings of holding of the two invincible kings, he would definitely be able to make up for it. He could even make a big profit. Therefore Lin Xian said, Black Earth, move out. You don't know what's good for you. You want to attack us? The two invincible kings sneered and prepared to attack. However, the world around them spun and countless runes flickered, enveloping the two invincible kings, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon. Yi Wudao and the Yi clan elders were stunned. They saw a strange formation in front of the spirit boat, emitting an aura that made their hearts tremble. Then the two invincible kings, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon, disappeared. They seemed to be floating in the formation, but it didn't look very clear. What was going on? Where was Brother Lin? They looked around in shock. At this time, Black Earth floated over. Don't worry, it's fine. Lin Xian will take care of the two invincible kings. You can rest here for now. There are spirit fruits and recovery pills here. There are also many cultivation rooms. You can rest at ease. When Leaf Daodenier and the other Yi clan elders heard that, they were completely taken aback. Those were two invincible kings. They couldn't even defeat them, so how could Lin Xian deal with them alone? They really couldn't understand. What was even stranger was that the one speaking was a sword. A broken black sword. It was too strange. Yi Wudao was also worried. Was Brother Lin really fine? And what's your name? Don't worry, he's fine. This formation has a strange effect. Chapter 2659. Yi Wudao and the rest of the Yi family asked some simple questions again. Then they entered their respective cultivation rooms and prepared to cultivate and recover. The pursuit during this period of time had consumed too much of their energy, and they were all seriously injured. As a result, Yi Wudao's injuries were even worse. If they didn't clean it up now, it would definitely affect their cultivation and martial path in the future. Therefore, these people didn't dare to be careless in the slightest. They were recovering with all their strength. Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon were fighting with the two invincible kings. He too controlled the Black Earth and flew towards the Yi family. At the same time, he was trying to contact the Yi family. On the Yi family's side, the battle was very intense. The Yi family elders' faces were gloomy. They had used 3 intact holy weapons and they had fully recovered, but they still couldn't suppress the other party. This was too shocking for them. They even wanted to use more holy weapons. Many people suggested to the patriarch that they use extreme weapons to destroy the other party. This time they were really too angry. When had their Yi clan ever been attacked by others? The warriors in the surrounding cities were also terrified. Of course, they didn't dare to go and could only obediently stay in the city. However, their hearts were in turmoil. Who dared to start a war with the Yi family? Was it someone from the Immortal Palace? As He Tu was flying, he caught a few familiar energy traces. He changed direction and rushed over. It was the Palace Master's spirit ship. The Great Guardian and the 6 Guardians also cried out in surprise. Palace Master, we are here. They hurriedly transmitted their voices. He Tu shot down a ray of black light, enveloping the Great Guardian, the 6 Guardians and the black-dressed woman, Xiao Wu. The 3 of them entered the Black Earth and quickly asked. He Tu gave a simple explanation. When they learned that Lin Xian was fighting with 2 invincible kings, they were extremely shocked. No way was the Palace Master in danger? They were too shocked. There was no danger. Could it be that the palace master had broken through to the invincible king realm? Seeing the shock of the three, He-Tu shook his head. No, that formation could suppress the cultivation of invincible kings. There was such a magical formation. They were shocked. When they learned that Yi Wudao was also here, they completely heaved a sigh of relief. They revealed a smile. That's great. This time I've done the Yi family a huge favor. Thinking about it, the Yi clan would definitely not mistreat them. After a simple discussion, they sat down cross-legged and began to recover. The invincible kings outside were all going crazy. What was going on? So many people had been taken away by the spirit boat? That was especially true when the invincible kings realized that Leaf Dao Denier was on the ship, and began to chase after him like madmen. The Black Earthen was followed by 5 or 6 invincible kings and countless black-robed men. This scene was very frightening, but the Black Earth went all out and left them far behind in the dust. When they arrived at the Yi family, the Great Protector and the others stood up because the battle here was the most dangerous. They were all filled with holy might, and even invincible kings didn't dare to approach them. The black-robed men also roared angrily and quickly transmitted the message to their leaders. He wanted them to kill him. Sure enough, in the sky, a black-robed man received the news and coldly shouted. He waved a snake-coiling cane and directly charged over. This crutch was an undamaged sacred weapon, and a saint's aura directly enveloped the black earth. Seeing this, the black-robed man laughed. With a sacred weapon in hand, no matter how strong the opponent was, they wouldn't be able to block it. Let's do it too. Seeing this, the Great Protector directly took out a golden decree and sent it out. Outside the black earth, the golden decree unfolded, and mysterious runes flickered as a vast power blocked the attack. This golden decree was also a sacred weapon, and an undamaged one at that. At the same time, the 6 Great Protectors sent another message to the Yi family, telling them to quickly come to their aid. The Yi family was extremely anxious. The surrounding black-robed men were already so terrifying. How many people were chasing Leaf Dao Denier? They didn't dare to imagine. In fact, they were already preparing for the worst. But at this time they received news from Immortal Palace. When they learned that Immortal Palace had brought Leaf Dao Denier back, they were wild with joy. Hurry and move out. Go and welcome him. Do whatever it takes. Bring them over to me. The Yi family patriarch roared. Immediately the elders of the Yi family moved out. This time they moved out over 1,000 people. When the Yi family was angry, it was extremely terrifying. The remaining people frantically activated their sacred weapons. Even a grand elder walked out from the forbidden area. Patriarch. When they saw this person, the experts were excited. The Yi family patriarch was also extremely respectful. This was because this was a true sacred weapon. The sacred weapon was in perfect condition, and the sacred weapon was sent out. Boom. The heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. The terrifying sacred might in the sky tore apart the black demonic clouds. The world regained its clarity. The black-robed men quickly retreated, coughing up large mouthfuls of blood. Tens of thousands of black-robed cultivators were directly torn apart by this attack. Even the invincible kings were filled with fear. This was bad. The sacred weapon was attacking. Damn it. Where's Leaf Dao Denier? Asked one of the invincible Black Devil Kings coldly. He was the leader of this operation, and the one who had summoned the demonic clouds millions of li away. Sir, it was taken away by someone. It was a black spirit boat. It was that one. Why did he point ahead? However, 2 of us invincible kings were also inside. Seeing this, the invincible Black Devil King coldly shouted and attacked. This was the final attack. But this time, tens of thousands of Yi family experts had moved out, making it impossible for the black-robed men to succeed. At this moment, an old figure walked out from across them. He gave them a sense of endless pressure. Not good, it's a sacred weapon. Damn it, could it be that this mission was going to fail? What do we do? The other black-robed men all looked at the invincible Black Devil King. The invincible Black Devil King was very decisive. If their attack failed, they wouldn't let their sacrifice go to waste. So they quickly retreated like a black cloud. This is great. They finally retreated. The Yi family cultivators sighed in relief. The Black Earthen also arrived at the Yi family. Boom. The door opened and the 3 protectors as well as Yi Wudao and the others walked out. Wudao. When the Yi clan members saw that Leaf Dao Denier was still alive, they breathed a sigh of relief. But when they sensed that Yi Wudao was injured, they all turned savage. Damn it, who was it? I don't know. We were chased for a long time. Fortunately, Wudao had the projection of his ancestor. Otherwise we really would have died. The elders all gnashed their teeth. Family head, we must take revenge. Someone actually dared to make a move on our future hope. This had indeed touched their bottom line. Chapter 2660. Damn it, he wasn't dead. How was that possible? The black-robed figures in the sky retreated to a certain distance, but they didn't leave immediately. They knew that the two invincible kings had entered the spirit vessel and were fighting. That gave them a glimmer of hope. After all, the two invincible kings had joined forces, while the other party only had a heavily injured elder and two 7-star experts. With such strength, how could he possibly contend against it? Perhaps Leif Daudenier had already been killed in Massachusetts. Of course, that was only their guess. They wanted to see Leif Daudenier's corpse with their own eyes. However, things greatly exceeded their expectations. They didn't see Leif Daudenier's corpse, but he was alive. How was that possible? The invincible king's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Impossible. Green Robe and Black Hammer went in personally. Where were the two of them? Indeed, their companions had entered the spirit vessel, but why hadn't they killed Leif Daudenier? And why hadn't the two of them come out yet? After Leif Daudenier and the chief enforcer came out, Lin Xian also came out. He looked at the countless black-robed figures in the distance and sneered. What, are you still waiting for the two invincible kings? They're here. With that, he waved his hand, and the two corpses flew out and landed on the ground. What was that? The Yi family elder was shocked and looked carefully. The countless black-robed figures in the sky were shocked. Dead. Green Robe and Black Hammer had been killed. Damn it, could there be other invincible kings in the spirit vessel? They didn't dare to believe it. The elders of the Yi family also cried out in alarm. Those were the corpses of invincible kings. Their faces were also filled with astonishment. Leif Daudenier and the 4 elders with him were even more shocked. They looked at Lin Xian with disbelief. They had seen Lin Xian and the two invincible kings being enveloped by the formation with their own eyes. They had been worried about Lin Xian's safety, but now Lin Xian had killed 2 invincible kings. Damn it! Damn it! This scene made them feel as if they were dreaming. In the sky, those black-robed men roared madly. Their plan had failed. Their plan had been perfect, and they had deployed so many invincible kings that Leif Daudenier was in a dire situation. Logically speaking, no matter how powerful the other party was, it would be difficult for him to escape. But now they had actually failed. Damn it! Who the hell is this brat? It's him. He's the one who messed up all my plans. That's right. If Lin Xian hadn't appeared, their plan would have been perfect. Leif Daudenier would definitely be killed. However, the appearance of this person in front of them completely disrupted their plans. Leif Daudenier was still alive, and none of them had taken advantage of him. Instead, it completely infuriated the Yi family. When the clan chief saw that Leif Daudenier was alive and well, he breathed a sigh of relief. The next moment, he snorted coldly, and a piercingly cold light burst out from his eyes, turning into thousands of divine lights. Disciples of the Yi family, listen up. Kill them all. He had to find out who the mastermind was. With that order, the elders, experts, and young geniuses all moved out. The sage in the sky even reached out a palm that covered 5 million miles, completely enveloping everyone. The Yi clan retaliated. Run. The black-robed men screamed like madmen, and many of them hurriedly drew on their sacred weapons in an attempt to resist. However, the sage of the Yi family was simply too strong. He swept through everything. Apart from the areas covered by the sacred weapons, which were temporarily able to resist, everything else was destroyed. The black-robed men were reduced to a bloody mist, and their souls were extracted and collected by the Yi family elders. However, their cultivation levels were too low, and they didn't know the core secrets. In the blink of an eye, their souls were destroyed. The Yi clan had launched their most powerful counterattack. Great Protector Lin Xian and the others were also astonished. As expected of a primeval clan, a clan of the ancients. However, none of this had anything to do with them. Once the Yi clan got their hands on the truth, they could just ask about it. Off to the side, Leif Daudenier and the others were taken to the Yi clan's forbidden area to recuperate. As for the Yi clan chief, he led the clan's elders, experts, and disciples to receive Lin Xian, the Grand Enforcer, and the others in the grandest fashion. They had no choice. Lin Xian had become their savior this time. If it weren't for him, Leif Daudenier would have been killed. They couldn't bear the consequences. Thank you for your help, Hall Master Lin. The Yi clan chief personally welcomed him. The Yi clan chief was too polite. Lin Xian cupped his hands and walked forward side by side with the Yi clan chief. In the main hall of Hui Hong, there were songs and dances, and all kinds of rare fruits were placed on the table. The elders of the Yi clan were extremely grateful. After 3 rounds of wine, both sides were very happy. At this moment Lin Xian said, "Yi clan chief, I came to the eastern wilderness this time because I have something to discuss with you." "What is it?" "Hall Master Lin, as long as it's within the Yi clan's power, we will definitely not refuse." "Thank you very much." Lin Xian smiled. It seemed that the Yi clan was indeed loyal. "I came here to join forces with the Yi clan, because I received news about the nest of 10,000 dragons." "What? News about the nest of 10,000 dragons?" Hearing this, the elders of the Yi clan were also surprised. The Yi clan chief was stunned. Then he waved his hand and said to the dancing beauties, "You can leave first." "Yes, clan chief." The beautiful disciples of the Yi clan quickly left. Only Lin Xian, the great guardian, and the others were left in the main hall. The elders and experts of the Yi clan. "Hall Master Lin, to be honest, we also know some information about the nest of 10,000 dragons. But we don't know the details. We only know that it seems to have been rumored in Jianghu for many years, but no one has really seen it." The Yi clan chief frowned. He thought that Lin Xian wanted to ask him about the nest of 10,000 dragons. However, Lin Xian smiled and said, "This time I received accurate information. I can definitely find the nest of 10,000 dragons." "What accurate information? Are you sure?" The Yi clan chief also gasped. The elders and experts of the Yi clan were even more shocked. "Of course." With these words, Lin Xian briefly explained how he had obtained it. When everyone heard that the news of the nest of 10,000 dragons came out together with the Yuhua immortal robe, they believed it. They knew how big the commotion caused by the Yuhua immortal robe was. However, they didn't expect that Lin Xian would actually obtain news about the nest of 10,000 dragons during that opportunity. The nest of 10,000 dragons was of great importance. Once it appeared, it would affect the entire True Spirit continent. At that time, it wouldn't just be a matter of Jianghu. Eastern wasteland, western desert, southern mountains, northern plains, and countless great sects would be alarmed. That scene would definitely be more spectacular than exploring an ancient tomb. Moreover, even if they found the nest of 10,000 dragons, it wouldn't be easy to break the seal of the nest of 10,000 dragons. Chapter 2661. My immortal palace can't swallow it alone, so I want to make some allies. The Yi family is my first stop. Good, my Yi family is willing to join forces to explore the nest of 10,000 dragons. The Yi family head laughed loudly. They were already very happy that Yi Wudao's life was not in danger. They didn't expect that they would also receive an unexpected surprise. They learned about the nest of 10,000 dragons. The nest of 10,000 dragons was rumored to be the burial place of dragons. Dragons were mystical creatures and they knew it very well. They were the most terrifying race among beasts. The burial place of dragons must have endless natural treasures, and even many great divine abilities of dragons. Perhaps there were endless dragon veins. All of this was endlessly tempting for humans like them. Lin Xian was also happy because although Immortal Palace was powerful, it also had its drawbacks. Firstly, the Immortal Palace he controlled was only the tip of the iceberg, and he couldn't mobilize all of its strength. Moreover, Immortal Palace had just appeared in the world. Although they had done some shocking things, their appeal was definitely not as strong as the Yi family. Moreover, he had many enemies such as the Tai dynasty, the Yinyang sect, the Five Elements Palace, the War Clan, and so on. They were all shocking great forces. When the time came, these people would definitely join forces. Therefore, if he formed an alliance with the Yi family now, there would only be many benefits and no disadvantages. Next, Lin Xian, the Yi family head, and a group of elders began a close meeting. This meeting lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. 3 days later, Lin Xian and the others got up and left because they had reached an agreement. When the time came, they would join forces to hold a grand meeting and invite the sect masters and sacred lords of the great sage land in the world to discuss. Hall Master Lin, this time my Yi family owes you a huge favor. If you need any help in the future, don't hesitate to ask. The Yi family head led a group of Yi family experts out to send them off. Good. Lin Xian smiled and nodded. Yi family head, there's no need to send us off. We'll take our leave. With that, he and the other 2 boarded the Black Earth and left. After leaving the Yi family, the 6 protectors heaved a sigh of relief. This time it was really too dangerous. Who were these black-clothed men? They don't know yet. Lin Xian shook his head. There was no need to rush. With the Yi clan attacking with all their might, the fate of these black-clothed men would definitely be miserable. When the time came, all he had to do was ask Leaf Dowdenier about them. By the way, Abaddon, after what happened with Leaf Dowdenier, we've come to the conclusion that you're being targeted by some mysterious people. Therefore we will send you an invincible king. Xiao. With that, the lady in the black dress stood up and bowed respectfully to Lin Xian. Greetings, Hall Master. An invincible king? Lin Xian was surprised. Then he smiled and said, no need to be so polite. Xing Tian was currently busy gathering the nest of 10,000 dragons and couldn't be by his side. It would be good to get another invincible king to protect him. After all, many people had their eyes on him now, because his performance in the ancient tomb was too dazzling. Moreover, this time he threw out the corpses of 2 invincible kings. If this matter were to spread, it would definitely shock the world. One had to know that he had a lot of enemies. The Yin-Yang sect, the Tai dynasty, the 5 palaces, and the war race were all great sects of the Holy Lands. If these forces sent invincible kings to kill him, it might be very troublesome. Now that there was such a beautiful invincible king, Lin Xian felt a lot more at ease. Next, let's go to the Jade Pool. Lin Xian controlled the black earth and flew in the direction of the Jade Pool. The Jade Pool was the holy land where Murong Qingqing was. He would definitely go there. Not only that, he would also make a trip to the Purple Dawn Holy Land. After all, Qingqing and Shinjingqiu were both holy maidens. With their help and recommendation, Lin Xian could quickly get in touch with these 2 great sages. Sure enough, when Lin Xian came to the Jade Pool, found Murong Qingqing and told her about his idea. Murong Qingqing was also very surprised. Brother Xian, don't worry. I'll go tell Master now. Not only was Murong Qingqing the holy maiden of the Jade Pool, but she was also the last disciple of the Jade Pool's sacred leader. When the Jade Pool's sacred leader received the news, she also came out of seclusion in surprise and personally welcomed him. The Jade Pool's sacred leader was known as the Queen Mother of the West. She was a very dignified and beautiful woman. Greetings to the Queen Mother of the West. Lin Xian cupped his fists and smiled. Hallmaster Lin, you're too polite. You're the owner of a shop, so you're on the same level as me. The Queen Mother of the West's voice was very pleasant. Hallmaster Lin, please. Queen Mother of the West, please. Lin Xian didn't dare to be careless at all because the Jade Pool's sacred ground was also very terrifying and had produced a great emperor. Moreover, there were extreme weapons in the Jade Pool. Could be said that the Jade Pool was as terrifying as the Yi family. Next, Lin Xian and the Queen Mother of the West had a meeting. When Lin Xian mentioned the news of the nest of 10,000 dragons, the Queen Mother of the West and all the elders of the Jade Pool were shocked. When they learned that Lin Xian had confirmed the news, their breathing quickened. I've already formed an alliance with the Yi family's head before this trip. I wonder what the Queen Mother of the West thinks this time? Of course I'm willing. The Queen Mother of the West was also tempted. All of this was as Lin Xian had expected. Next, he discussed some details with the Queen Mother of the West and the others again. Then he stood up and prepared to leave. But before leaving, Lin Xian looked at Murong Qingqing. Queen Mother of the West, I hope you can give Qingqing an invincible king-level guardian. A what? The Queen Mother of the West was stunned. Every saint and saintess had a guardian, but this guardian was also based on the saint and saintess cultivation. Right now, Murong Qingqing's Dao Protector was an 8-star peak almighty. Of course, he had many trump cards in his hand, and he might even have a sacred weapon in good condition. After all, Murong Qingqing's safety was very important. The Yi family's sacred body, Yi Wudao, is being hunted down. I think the eastern wilderness will not be peaceful recently. What? Yi Wudao is being hunted down? The Queen Mother of the West was shocked, and the elders of the Jade Lake sacred ground gasped. Hallmaster Lin, is what you said true? That's impossible. The Yi family is a clan of the ancients. Who would dare to attack them? Moreover, they came to assassinate Yi Wudao. These people all knew how important Yi Wudao was to the Yi family. Lin Xian said, it's true. I think this news will spread soon. You can ask around and find out. Seeing Lin Xian so sure, the Queen Mother of the West's expression turned serious. It seemed that this matter had really happened. She said, don't worry, we will give Qingqing an invincible king-level guardian, and he will also have a sacred weapon in good condition. Before figuring out who attacked the Yi family, these people did not dare to be careless. After all, the other party dared to attack the Yi family. Who knew if they would attack other geniuses? Big Brother Xian, where are you going next? Murong Qingqing asked from the side. Lin Xian smiled. I'm going to the Purple Dawn's sacred ground. Chapter 2662. The Queen Mother nodded. Okay. She was at ease with Lin Xian by her side. Moreover, she was very satisfied with Lin Xian from the simple interaction just now. Perhaps it was not impossible for the two of them to become a couple. Next, Lin Xian bid farewell to the Queen Mother and left the Jade Lake Sacred Ground with Murong Qingqing. They headed to the Purple Glow Sacred Ground. Purple Glow Sacred Ground. It was also a peerless sacred ground in the eastern wilderness. It was located in a fairyland. The purple qi that filled the sky was very beautiful. When Xin Jingqiu learned that Lin Xian and Murong Qingqing had come, she was very happy. She turned into a stream of light and rushed out. Brother Lin Xian, sister Qingqing, you're both here. She jumped into Lin Xian's arms happily. This scene made the male disciples of the Purple Glow Sacred Ground envious. They all widened their eyes and stared at Lin Xian with gritted teeth. Damn it, who is this guy? There were countless disciples in the Purple Glow Sacred Ground, but not everyone had seen Lin Xian before. Therefore, when they saw their saintess in the arms of a strange man, they were stunned. It's him, it's that kid. Damn it, I didn't expect him to come. Some people also recognized Lin Xian. What is he doing here? These people discussed animatedly, and many of them directly reported to the elders. Sure enough, the elders of the Purple Glow Sacred Ground came not long after. Who are you? How dare you be rude to our saintess? When the elders saw this scene, they immediately blew their beards and glared. Lin Xian let go of Xin Jingqiu, looked into the distance and said indifferently, I am the master of Immortal Palace, Lin Xian. The master of Immortal Palace. The elders were stunned and then they were extremely shocked. They had heard of his name, but it was the first time many of the elders had seen him. When they saw the beautiful figure beside him, they cried out in surprise. The Jade Lake Saintess. Lin Xian might be unfamiliar to them, but they were no stranger to Murong Qingqing. Both of them were from the Eastern Barren Territory, and the other party was the saintess of the Jade Lake Sacred Ground. How could they not know each other? For a holy maiden and a hall master who was on par with their hall master to come here together, it was likely that they had something important to discuss with him. They hurriedly said, Please, gentlemen. Soon an elder invited them over. Even more people went to inform their holy masters. The young ones also went back to call for help. When the young geniuses of the Purple Dawn Holy Land found out that their holy maiden had actually thrown herself into someone else's arms, they gritted their teeth so hard that they almost shattered. Damn it, who is it? No, I must teach him a good lesson. Among them, many peerless geniuses charged forward murderously. It's him, it's him. Many people pointed at Lin Xian and shouted from afar. Those peerless geniuses stared at Lin Xian and sneered. He was only a mid-stage 7-star king tier, so what was the big deal? I'm going to destroy him now. These people wanted to make a move. However, in the next moment their eyeballs popped out. Because they found that their holy masters had actually personally welcomed the other party. Oh my god, are my eyes playing tricks on me? Fuck, dream, I must be dreaming. How could he be on the same level as the holy masters? Damn it, who is this kid? Those peerless geniuses also felt cold all over. Fortunately, they didn't have time to make a move. Otherwise, they would have been slapped to death by their holy masters. It seemed to be some Immortal Palace master, but this kid's strength wasn't that great. Many 5th-rank warriors gritted their teeth. When those peerless geniuses heard this, their faces turned green. What? Immortal Palace master. The current Immortal Palace was no longer as mysterious as before. Ever since the ancient tomb battle, the name of Immortal Palace had gradually spread. All the major sects of the true spirit world were familiar with it. The other party was from Immortal Palace, and he was the Immortal Palace master. He was definitely a super genius, and his status was on the same level as their holy masters. Thinking of this, those peerless geniuses' faces turned ugly. Damn it, do you want me to die? They began to reprimand their junior brothers. Those junior brothers also had bitter looks on their faces. Senior brother, we really don't dare. Lin Xian naturally didn't care about this small interlude. At this moment he brought Murong Qingqing, Xin Jingqiu, the Great Guardian, and the others to gather with the Purple Dawn Holy Land's Holy Master and a group of elders. Lin Xian went straight to the point, directly stating his intentions. Because he knew that the other party wouldn't refuse. Sure enough, after hearing this news, the Purple Dawn Holy Land's Holy Master and elders were all fired up. Immediately they decided to join forces with Lin Xian. Hallmaster Lin, you must be tired from the journey. Why don't you stay in my Purple Dawn Holy Land for a few days? The Purple Dawn Holy Master invited. Lin Xian thought about it. In any case, he hadn't seen Murong Qingqing and Xin Jingqiu in a long time. Why not stay for a while? After all, he was going to leave the eastern wilderness and go to the other continents to join forces with the other holy lands. In the next few days, Lin Xian, Murong Qingqing, and Shen Jingxiu enjoyed the magnificent scenery. This scene made the male disciples of the Holy Lands so envious that they wanted to die. Damn it, not only had their holy maiden been chased by him, but even the holy maiden of the Jade Lake was by his side. One person with two peerless beauties. This made them go crazy with jealousy. This kid is too amazing, isn't he? How did he do it? That's right, even the Alcade Holy Son Yi Wudao, and the others didn't receive such treatment. These people were so curious that they couldn't wait to run over and ask for guidance. However, before they could, a shocking piece of news spread. This news was, of course, related to Yi Wudao and the mysterious power. The news that Yi Wudao was being chased spread. The great sage lands and the major sects of the eastern wastelands were shocked. Not only that, but the news also spread to the other continents. The entire world was stunned. They couldn't believe it. The news had to be fake. Who would dare to chase after Yi Wudao? After all, Yi Wudao was the hope of the Yi clan. Touching him was touching the bottom line of the Yi clan. The Yi clan would definitely fight back at all costs. The Holy Lands, the major sects, and the imperial dynasties didn't believe it. However, after many inquiries, they discovered that the news was actually true. This scene caused their minds to go blank. What power would dare to do something like this? Could it be one of the three great assassin divine dynasties? The first thing they thought of was the three great assassin divine dynasties. They were the only ones who would dare to make a move on Yi Wudao. After all, the three great assassin divine dynasties were said to have killed sages in ancient times. However, they soon discovered that it wasn't the three great assassin divine dynasties, but rather a very low-key and mysterious organization. Of course, they didn't know what it was. Even the Yi clan didn't know. All of the black-robed men who had come had been killed by the Yi clan. The Yi clan had extracted their souls and used their divine abilities to soul-search them. However, they hadn't been able to find any useful information. Chapter 2663. They even tortured the souls of those invincible kings and interrogated them. But in the end they got nothing. Because these people did not know at all. Damn it, who was it? They had hidden so deeply. The Yi family's elders all had gloomy expressions. From the looks of it, the other party had already calculated everything, even their escape route. Having such a hidden enemy made the Yi family very uncomfortable. In the future, when Wudao went out, they would send more invincible kings to follow him. They would bring intact holy weapons and some forbidden weapons. They could not let this happen a second time. This matter spread far and wide and everyone was talking about it. Because such a terrifying thing had never happened before. Lin Xian also received the news, so he asked the Yi family. The result surprised him. The Yi family did not know who the enemy was at all. This point gave Lin Xian a huge headache too. It seemed that the enemy was more terrifying and difficult to deal with than he had imagined. However, after this failure, the other party would not dare to act rashly again. The Yi family was not to be trifled with. This time, the Yi family killed all the black-robed men who participated in the hunt. None of them escaped. Their methods were extremely fierce. And that mysterious organization did not have any follow-up plans. Therefore, Lin Xian temporarily put this matter aside. He stayed in the Purple Dawn's sacred ground for a few days and prepared to leave, because he still had to go to the Gu family. Then he prepared to go to the Western Desert and contact Lanrua Temple, where no flower was. This time, Lin Xian did not bring Shen Jingxiu or Murong Qingqing because he wanted the two of them to cooperate with his sacred ground and prepare. After he was done, they could join forces to hold a grand event. Lin Xian went to the Gu family and met with Gu Santong. Then he discussed this matter with the Gu family's patriarch. The Gu family also quickly agreed. Then Lin Xian opened a door and teleported to the Western Desert. Western Desert. The top forces here were mainly Buddhist sections. It could be said to be the sacred ground of all Buddhist sections. Lanrua Temple was one of the best. In the sky, a giant crack tore open. Countless runes flashed as a spirit boat crossed through space and time. It was the Black Earth. After all the energy dissipated, Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon walked out of the Black Earth. Of course, Lin Xian knew that there was another person by his side. It was just that no one else could see it. It was the invincible king that the great protector had assigned to him, Xiao Wu, the woman in the black dress. Now Xiao Wu was his protector. However, under normal circumstances she would not appear. She would only silently follow him in the dark. Only when Lin Xian's life was in danger would she make a move. Lin Xian looked around and narrowed his eyes as he looked at the boundless golden desert. Looks like this is a huge desert. Let's leave this place first and explore the surroundings. The dark red dragon suggested. Next, the two of them turned into streams of light and flew forward. 2 days later they left the desert. Mountains and forests gradually appeared in front of them. The types of trees here were completely different from those in the eastern wilderness and middle ground. They were all drought-resistant and looked very strange. After flying for another 3 days they saw mountains again. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. So far he had not met anyone. Therefore he did not know where he was either. However, the dark red divine dragon exclaimed softly. Why do I feel that this place is a little familiar? Familiar? Have you been here before? Lin Xian asked. No, but this place was very similar to what was recorded in the ancient books. The dark red divine dragon shook his head. His body swayed and gradually rose into the sky. Then he pointed below and said, Kid, come here. I'll tell you. Lin Xian was puzzled. He rose into the sky and looked into the distance. This is? He was shocked. How is it? Have you noticed it too? That's right, this place is very famous in the western desert. This place was called the Reclining Buddha Ridge. The mountain range was like a huge Buddha lying on the ground. It was not man-made but formed naturally. It was very mysterious. It was said that many saints of the western desert's Buddhist sacred grounds had come here to gain enlightenment. However, no one knew what they had gained. Moreover, it seemed that not only the western desert, but also the other continents had experts who came here to gain enlightenment. It was said that even the ancient emperors had come here when they were young. So mysterious. Lin Xian was surprised. He did not expect that they would come to such a legendary place. Is it dangerous here? Lin Xian asked. Usually such places were like forbidden grounds. Even if they were not, they were still very scary. However, this time the dark red divine dragon shook his head. It was not dangerous. There were no formations in this place. However, there would occasionally be a trace of terrifying aura. Under normal circumstances, it would not attack people. Kid, why don't we go down and take a look? Maybe we can gain some enlightenment? Alright, since he had come to this legendary place, it would be inappropriate for him to leave without taking a look around. Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon flew forward quickly. Soon they arrived near the Buddha statue. The two of them landed and saw that they were surrounded by cliffs. There were all kinds of markings on the walls. There were also some patterns and runes. In short, it was very messy. The dark red divine dragon pointed at these markings and said, These were left behind by those who had gained enlightenment. However, don't underestimate these runes. It is said that someone once found a mark left behind by a great emperor here. Then he gained enlightenment and became a terrifying saint. Left behind by a great emperor. There was such a thing. Lin Xian was shocked. He looked around but he didn't find anything special. Of course, the great emperor that I mentioned was left behind by a great emperor when he was young. However, that was already very profound. Moreover, the younger the great emperor, the more ordinary the mark left behind. At their level, it was likely that they would have returned to simplicity long ago and turned complexity into simplicity. If a casual stroke could be developed, it would be thousands of worlds. So that's how it is. Lin Xian's heart skipped a beat. He used the heavenly secret god eyes and golden runes appeared in his eyes. He looked in all directions. He decided to meditate here for a few days. A day later, Lin Xian was astonished. He had gained some enlightenment from these engravings, and it was very enlightening for his own martial cultivation. This made him very happy. However, just as he was about to continue comprehending, a powerful figure descended from the sky. An aura that seemed to be able to split the world descended from the sky and swept in all directions. It wanted to crush Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon. The two of them changed their expressions and snorted coldly. A sharp sword light rushed out from their bodies and a terrifying light directly cut off the energy fluctuation. Chapter 2664. They saw a young monk descending from the sky in front of them. He was wearing a kasaya and had a handsome face. However, there was an unusually sharp aura in his eyes. At that moment, he glanced at Lin Xian and the dark red dragon and said coldly, I'm going to meditate and cultivate here. Get lost, you nobodies. His voice was emotionless and cold. Within a radius of a few thousand miles, some figures quickly rose into the air and fled into the distance. It seemed that other than Lin Xian and the dark red dragon, there were other people meditating here. However, after these people sensed that biting cold aura, their expressions changed and they did not dare to stay any longer. Some of them even recognized the other party's identity. They were so scared that they wet their pants and quickly left. Lin Xian and the dark red dragon frowned. Who is this person? He's so arrogant and insolent. When the young monk saw that the others had fled, the corners of his mouth curled up into a cold smile. However, when he saw that Lin Xian and the dark red dragon had no intention of leaving, his face darkened. You two nobodies get lost. Disappear in front of me in 3 seconds or I'll kill you. As soon as he said that, Lin Xian's face darkened. The dark red dragon immediately jumped up. Damn, who are you? How dare you talk to us like that? Do you believe that I'll slap you to death? Lin Xian's expression was also cold. The two of them were meditating here and did not provoke the other party. However, the other party asked them to get lost as soon as he appeared. He even threatened to kill them. No one would be able to tolerate this, let alone Lin Xian. You're courting death. Ignorant nobodies. The young monk was also angry. How dare a little snake make a fuss in front of me? He raised his finger and pointed forward. A piercing light tore through heaven and earth and instantly arrived in front of the dark red dragon. Boom. The dark red dragon waved its dragon claws and slapped forward. An earth-shattering sound was heard as he smashed the attack to smithereens. It shattered. The young monk was stunned and sneered. You have some strength. No wonder you dare to be so arrogant in front of me. However, just this bit of strength was not enough to look at. He raised his palm and was about to attack. At this moment, the 1-pound Lin Xian also stepped forward. He raised his finger and a sharp sword wave flew out. Since the other party dared to make a move, they couldn't blame him. Buzz, the sword chi pierced through the clouds as a terrifying light filled the area. A terrifying force gushed out. The fleeing martialists felt their scalps go numb when they saw this scene. Who was this person? He actually dared to attack Yuan Kuan. Did he not want to live anymore? These martial artists were very surprised. They were all from the Western Desert. Naturally, they knew this young monk and his reputation. Most likely, no one in the younger generation would dare to compete with him. However, this brat in front of him actually dared to make a move. He was simply too bold. Courting death. Fang's young monk was also enraged. A piercingly cold light surfaced in his eyes as countless runes rose from his palm. He slammed his palm down, shattering the terrifying sword chi. However, his palm was also numb from the shock. This made him quite surprised. The other party was very strong, so strong that it exceeded his expectations. Who are you? He asked coldly. Judging from the other party's appearance, he should not be an unknown person. He should be a young prodigy. However, he knew all the young prodigies in the Western Desert. The other party was a stranger. He had never seen him before. Now you know how to ask me who I am? Too late. Lin Xian snorted coldly. The other party had threatened to kill them as soon as he appeared. How could he tolerate that? Therefore he waved his arm and flicked his fingers. Buzz buzz buzz. Sword chi flew out one after another. Yuan Kuan roared angrily. The other party dared to attack him. He was courting death. Kid, do you think you can be arrogant in front of me just because you have some skills? Today I'll send you to hell. He formed a Buddhist seal with his palm. The Buddhist light on his body shone quickly as a terrifying force surged out. However, Lin Xian's sword chi was also very powerful. The sword flew out, illuminating the area as if it had turned into a dragon. Boom, the Buddhist light on Yuan Kuan's body shone. He formed a Buddhist seal with his hand and slammed it out. It collided with the sword chi again. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. A terrifying light swept out in all directions. With this palm strike he still managed to shatter the sword chi. However, the numbness in his arm became even more severe. Moreover, what shocked him even more was that the third, fourth, and fifth sword chi flew towards him one after another. Damn it, who is this person? Is he a peerless swordsman? Why is his sword chi so powerful? Yuan Kuan was extremely surprised because he realized that these sword chi were not released by a peerless treasure. They were casually flicked out by the other party. This meant that the other party had not used his full strength. Thinking of this, his expression became extremely cold. In the distance, the fleeing warriors also felt their scalps go numb. In their opinion, since the other party dared to fight against Yuan Kuan, he would definitely be slapped to death. But who would have thought that the other party could actually fight against Yuan Kuan? This was really beyond their expectations. Who is this kid? Could it be that he's a peerless prodigy from some large family? That's very likely. However, no matter how talented he was dead for daring to provoke Yuan Kuan. Yuan Kuan was a top prodigy of White Horse Temple. His Buddhist magic was incomparably terrifying. That kid is so strong, casually flicking out a sword chi, and it has such power. He must be a peerless swordsman. Everyone discussed animatedly. And at this moment Lin Xian attacked again. This time he pulled out the ancient dragon abyss sword. A terrifying sword light rushed into the sky. The sword slashed down. The entire sky was cut into two halves. The pitch-black crack was like an endless canyon. It was also the first time Yuan Kuan's expression changed. The sword chi was really too strong. So this time he did not resist it head-on. Instead, his figure swayed and he quickly dodged. Relying on his super-powerful dermic powers, he dodged the sword. But at this moment, his eyelids twitched wildly, because he felt an extremely terrifying power coming from behind him. Not good. In the next moment he suddenly turned around and struck out with his palm. Boom. He was blasted back, his aura tumbling. Damn snake. He gnashed his teeth in anger. That's right, the one attacking from behind was the dark red divine dragon. The dark red divine dragon sent the other party flying with a tail and immediately sneered. We're ants? We don't know what's good for us? Kid, before you make a move, find out who we are. Do you think that you can contend against us with just you? The dark red divine dragon was also so angry that it gritted its teeth. The other party was too arrogant, wanting to kill them as soon as they appeared. Now they were only retaliating to teach the other party a lesson. No way, this snake is also so powerful? When the warriors in the distance saw this scene, they were extremely shocked. Who are these people? They're actually so powerful. Yuan Kuan's face was gloomy. Damn it, the other party is also a super expert. This is indeed beyond my expectations. However, he snorted coldly. Do you think that the two of you can defeat me if you join forces? Chapter 2665. Tear them into pieces? Lin Xian sneered. What a ruthless heart. You want to tear us into pieces without any enmity? Are you really a Buddhist? I think even the demons are not as ruthless as you, right? How can someone like you be called a Buddha? The dark red divine dragon also sneered. No matter what the two of you say, the two of you will not be able to escape death today. Yuan Kuan's expression was cold as Buddhist light spread out from his body. His hands danced non-stop as mysterious runes flickered around him one after another. Countless golden runes flickered as if forming a mysterious world that swallowed all the sword light. Yuan Kuan stood in the void with a cold expression. What a powerful Buddhist divine power. Could actually swallow such a terrifying sword chi. Yes, this Yuan Kuan was really too terrifying. When the cultivators in the distance saw this scene, they exclaimed. Among them there were also people whose eyes flickered. They did not know how the man and the snake were going to counterattack. Swallowed them all? Lin Xian was also surprised. He did not expect the other party to be so powerful. No wonder he was so arrogant and told everyone to scram the moment he came. But so what? He had even killed an invincible king, let alone a mere young monk. Next he waved the ancient dragon abyss sword. Terrifying sword chi flew out one after another, densely packed and crisscrossing between heaven and earth. It's useless. You can't hurt me at all. Yuan Kuan stood in the void. The golden runes around him formed a world that swallowed all the sword chi. He looked at this scene and sneered. Is that so? How do you think my sword chi is so easy to swallow? Lin Xian snorted. The power of the great dragon sword spirit was not something that could be easily swallowed. Sure enough, not long after, Yuan Kuan's expression changed. His figure flashed and instantly disappeared. The mysterious world formed by the golden runes exploded with a bang. Thousands of sword chi pierced out and shattered the place where Yuan Kuan was originally standing. It formed a terrifying black hole. Damn it, it actually came out. How was this possible? Although Yuan Kuan was not injured, he hit to the side with an extremely ugly expression. The other party broke his divine power so easily. It was really hard for him to believe. The people in the distance screamed as if they had seen a ghost. What kind of sword technique was this sword chi? This was too terrifying. That's right, he was actually able to break through even Yuan Kuan's sacred art, and by the looks of it he was able to do it so easily. Incredible. He was definitely a peerless swordsman. It seems that if I don't show my true strength, you guys really don't know what's good for you. Yuan Kuan walked up and spat out a golden pagoda. The pagoda was 6 stories high, and it was engraved with very simple runes. As soon as it appeared, it emitted a heavy aura. Boom, boom. Strands of Buddhist light flowed out and pierced through the void. The terrifying power made those in the distance extremely terrified. Many people knelt on the ground, their bodies trembling. How terrifying. Yuan Kuan's strength was actually so terrifying. Oh heavens, he had definitely been hiding his strength. He was even more terrifying than the rumors said. Why do I feel that none of those older generation figures are a match for him? That wasn't all. Probably no one below the level of invincible king tiers could defeat him. Why do I feel like he's close to becoming an invincible king? These people screamed in fear. There was nothing they could do. The power that Yuan Kun had displayed was simply too terrifying. The Buddhist light that filled the sky floated out along with Yuan Kun's palm. All of the sword chi in the sky were sent flying. In an instant, a terrifying sound rang out like 10,000 bolts of thunder. Yuan Kun was like an ancient Buddha. With the 6-story pagoda in his hand, he quickly charged over. Kid, be careful. This guy isn't simple. The dark red divine dragon reminded from the side. Yuan Kun's strength was definitely at the level of a saint. Moreover, he wasn't an ordinary saint. He was a very terrifying one. However, the corners of Lin Xian's mouth curled up. It didn't matter. Indeed, although this strength was shocking, it wasn't enough to shock him. In the next moment, he clenched his left hand into a fist and punched out. The 9 yang divine body combined with the heaven-battling divine fist had the power of extreme yang. An endless fist could destroy heaven and earth. It shattered all of the Buddhist light that approached it. The endless mountains in the surroundings were shaking. The ground split open and countless cracks appeared. However, the vicinity of the reclining Buddha ridge was safe and sound. This was especially true for the great Buddha. Under the terrifying attack, it disappeared without a trace in front of him. People couldn't help but sigh in admiration. This was indeed a mystical place of legends. From the looks of it, even an invincible king's attack wouldn't be able to hurt him in the slightest. No wonder countless people had been comprehending here and there wasn't a trace of damage. Lin Xian and Yuan Kun began to fight. Both of them were geniuses of the younger generation. At this moment, their attacks were truly earth-shattering. The momentum was terrifying. The martial artists in the distance were terrified. They knew how powerful Yuan Kun was and it made them tremble. However, the strength of this young man who had just appeared also shocked them. Kid, go to hell. At this moment, Yuan Kun shouted loudly. He seized the opportunity and arrived behind Lin Xian. He stretched out a palm that carried a golden light that filled the sky and fiercely blasted towards Lin Xian. Not good, that kid is going to die. That was for sure. If he was hit by such a palm, he would definitely be smashed to pieces. Even if he didn't die, he would be seriously injured. As expected, Yuan Kun was still more powerful. The people in the distance were discussing animatedly. With a boom, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Energy erupted and this palm drowned the world. Ah, reckless kid, you dare to attack me? Yuan Kun retreated and arrived in the sky, looking down coldly. This kid had been dealt with. Next was this snake. His gaze was like lightning as he stared at the dark red divine dragon. Daring to fight with him, how ignorant. The dark red divine dragon's eyes flickered, revealing a trace of a sneer, completely ignoring the other party. In the energy storm that filled the sky, a cold voice sounded. Is this your strength? You're really pitifully weak. What? As soon as these words came out, Yuan Kun was stunned. The people in the distance were even more stunned. That was the other party's voice. The other party didn't die. And from the looks of it, he didn't seem to have suffered much damage. How was this possible? Damn it, impossible. Yuan Kun roared angrily and waved his hand. A pair of golden hands stretched out and tore the void apart. The storm that filled the sky also disappeared. In the next moment, his eyes widened because the other party's figure in front of him appeared. His body was shining brightly and he wasn't injured at all. Impossible. Yuan Kun was stunned. Even a late-stage 8-star mighty figure couldn't block his palm. The other party was hit head-on and suffered this blow, but he was actually unharmed? It was really out of his expectations. Even if he didn't die, he should be seriously injured. However, there was no blood on the other party's body, not a single crack. The power of the 9 yang divine body had increased again. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes, his heart filled with joy. In the next moment, a piercing light burst out from his eyes. Next, I'll let you have a taste of my attack. At this point, he took a step forward and the 9 yang divine body erupted. The storm that filled the sky tore through the void. At this moment he was like a sun war god, charging forward. As he walked, the void collapsed and the mountain range below kept shattering. Chapter 2666. Bang. A golden fist streaked across the sky, causing countless cracks to appear in the void. Yuan Kuan jumped in fright and hurriedly summoned the sixth-floored pagoda to his side to block. Dang! The sound of collision resounded. The distant martial artists bled from their ears and many of them fainted. As for those who were still conscious, their faces were filled with fear. They saw the sixth-floored pagoda being sent flying, spinning in the sky and leaving Yuan Kuan's range. Heavens! That golden pagoda was at least a mid-grade heaven step artifact, yet it was sent flying with a single punch. What kind of power did this kid have? What fist? Saint body. He had the Eastern Wasteland's saint body. Someone cried out in alarm. They couldn't think of anyone with such a terrifying physique apart from a saint body. Facing a mid-grade heaven step artifact bare-handedly, he wasn't at a disadvantage. It couldn't be. Wasn't it rumored that the saint body had just been chased down by the mysterious organization and was recuperating in the Yi family? How could he appear now? These people also knew about Yi Daodenier's matter, as it had already spread throughout the entire True Spirit continent. Therefore they were all shocked. A few older generation figures shook their heads. No, he wasn't a saint body. We've seen a portrait of a saint body, and it definitely wasn't him. Then who was he? Was there a physique comparable to a saint body in the world? Of course there was. An older generation figure said in a deep voice. Although a saint body was powerful and astonishing, it wasn't impossible to stand shoulder to shoulder with it. One had to know that the True Spirit continent was too vast. No one knew how big it was, and no one knew how many terrifying geniuses there were in this world. Apart from a saint body, there were many other terrifying physiques. For example, the Gu family's divine body. For example, the demon race's powerful demon kings with heaven-defying bloodlines. Take my Western Desert for example. There are several body refining techniques that are extremely terrifying. 60 Zhang golden body, indestructible golden body, 9 transformations golden body. Once it was refined, it would be extremely terrifying and incomparable. Indeed, as soon as these words were spoken, many people nodded in agreement. Western Desert was the holy land of Buddhism, and Buddhism paid great attention to the cultivation of the body. Basically, every peak holy land of Buddhism had an extremely terrifying body refining technique. However, the body refining technique of Buddhism was extremely obvious. Once it was used, Buddha light and even Sanskrit chants of Buddhism. However, although his body was also emitting boundless light, it was not the Buddhist light. Thus, they knew that he was not cultivating a Buddhist body refinement technique. Instead, it was a technique that they had never heard of before. Or perhaps he possessed an extremely terrifying bloodline power. Boom. Just as these people were discussing intensely, Lin Xian's second punch came. Damn it. Yuan Kuan's pupils shrank. After witnessing the terror of the first punch, he didn't dare to take it head-on. His figure flickered, and countless afterimages appeared in the sky as he retreated rapidly. At the same time, he waved his hand and summoned the golden pagoda that had been sent flying backward, preparing to attack again. Phew, this punch had indeed missed. However, when the frightening energy swept across Yuan Kuan's body, it caused him to feel a burning pain. Brat, you've really pissed me off. Today I will let you experience the great powers of my White Horse Temple. Yuan Kuan's expression was ferocious. He had never suffered such a blow. Therefore he was prepared to take it seriously. However, in the next moment his eyelids twitched violently. This was because an unparalleled power had erupted from his opponent's sword. There was even the roar of a dragon. His expression became extremely ugly because his opponent's sword chi was even more terrifying than the golden fist. As expected, when the sword slashed out, his entire body turned cold. The golden pagoda in his hand was sent flying again. Cracks also appeared on the kasaya on his body. He simply couldn't believe what he was seeing. This kasaya was also a treasure, but it couldn't withstand the other party's sword light. This was only the aftermath of the energy. If the other party's sword had slashed his body, he would probably have been cut open. Thinking of this, he quickly retreated. Brat, who are you? Tell me your name. However, what answered him was a cold and merciless sword light. Damn it. Yuan Kuan roared angrily and quickly dodged. Just you wait, my White Horse Temple will definitely not let you off. Yuan Kuan was so angry that he vomited blood. This time he had really lost. It made him lose face. However, protecting his life was more important. He prepared to leave and bring back a few terrifying forbidden artifacts before coming back to fight with the other party. You want to leave? Seeing this scene, Lin Xian sneered. Weren't you very arrogant when you descended previously? Didn't you tell us to scram? Why are you scramming now? Hearing this, the escaping Yuan Kuan's body trembled and he spat out a mouthful of blood. He was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. Indeed, when he came previously he was extremely arrogant and didn't take anyone seriously. That was because he had the right to be arrogant. He was young but he could already kill a late-stage 8-star powerhouse. Not many people below the invincible king realm were his match. Other than a few other terrifying young prodigies of the Buddhist sects, he really didn't take anyone seriously. Therefore after he arrived he immediately cleared the place. He didn't want others to disturb him. However, he didn't know that when he cleared the place this time, the ant in his eyes turned out to be a terrifying prodigy. This time he had really kicked an iron plate. "How dare you stop me?" Seeing the other party cut off the path in front of him with a sword, Yuan Kun turned his head and roared. "Why wouldn't I dare?" Lin Xian's body was filled with murderous intent. Yuan Kun frowned when he saw the other party's murderous intent. He sneered. "Let me tell you, I'm from White Horse Temple. Moreover, I'm a top prodigy of White Horse Temple." If he revealed his identity, the other party would definitely not dare to make a move on him. White Horse Temple was one of the Buddhist sacred grounds of the Western Desert. It was not inferior to the sacred grounds of the Eastern Wilderness. As one of the top 10 prodigies of White Horse Temple, his status was naturally noble. If anything happened to him, White Horse Temple would definitely not let him off. White Horse Temple. I've never heard of it. Are you the White Horse Temple's successor? As he spoke, Lin Xian slashed out with his sword again. This sword transformed into a huge dragon that instantly flew out and slashed Yuan Kun's body. It sent him flying. Yuan Kun's body was directly cut open. Blood spurted out and dyed the void red. Ah! Yuan Kun screamed and retreated crazily. At the same time, his broken body quickly healed with Buddhist light. In the end he was completely intact. However, his face was abnormally pale. Blood was still splattering in the sky. This scene made the people in the distance go crazy. He made a move, he really made a move. Heavens, didn't he really intend to kill the other party? Who exactly was he? That was too terrifying. Was he not afraid of White Horse Temple's revenge? He shouldn't be from the Western Desert. The eyes of some of the older generation flickered. He was probably a top prodigy from the other continents. Chapter 2667. Is he a top genius from another continent? The cultivators gasped. Yuan Kun's face was ferocious. "Kid, how dare you hurt me?" "I..." Before he could finish his sentence, he turned around and fled. That was because the other party had attacked again. After witnessing how powerful the other party was, how would Yuan Kun dare to attack him again? He directly used a Buddhist grand divine power. Endless Buddhist light formed 2 golden wings that quickly spread out behind him. He tore through the void and ran into the distance. "You want to leave?" Lin Xian used Heavenly Dragon's 8 steps. A dragon shadow appeared under his feet and brought him through the void quickly. The two of them quickly left the reclining Buddha ridge. Seeing this scene, the dark red divine dragon also followed behind. The others were stunned. Heavens, is the other party really going to kill us? They were extremely shocked and followed behind, wanting to watch the battle. But soon they lost track of them. That was because the two of them were too fast. The cultivators could not see them. But the other cultivators saw them. On the way, many cultivators looked up at the sky. Heavens, someone is fighting a great battle. It should be a late-stage 8-star powerhouse. No, it's 2 young people. 2 young prodigies. Why does the one running at the front look so familiar? Damn it, isn't he Yuan Kun from White Horse Temple? He's a top genius. Why is he being chased? Who's chasing him? For a moment, everyone was stunned. Yuan Kun is being chased? Who is it? They all looked at the figure behind. He's so young and unfamiliar. I don't know him. If he's not a Buddhist, which family is he from? These people discussed animatedly. Bang. Just at this moment, they saw a shocking sword light flash out and slash Yuan Kun's body, sending him flying and vomiting blood. Blood pierced through the void. This scene made everyone's scalp tingle. Too powerful. Kid, just you wait. I won't let you go. Yuan Kun's kasaya was covered in blood. His face was ferocious. He gritted his teeth and took out a Buddhist light wheel. A bright light enveloped him and he disappeared completely. Seeing this, Lin Xian did not attack again, because the other party had used a life-saving trump card. The next time we meet, I won't let you leave so easily. He snorted coldly and did not pursue. A mere genius was no threat to him at all. Thinking of this, he turned his head to look at the dark red divine dragon flying behind him. Let's go. The dark red dragon nodded and waved its claws, grabbing a few cultivators at the side. The martial artists were scared out of their wits. They quickly begged for mercy. "Hero, please don't kill us. We are just passing by. Don't be nervous. I won't kill you. You just have to tell me how to get to Lanrua Temple." Lanrua Temple? These people were shocked. The other party had just beaten up a genius from Whitehorse Temple, and now he was going to Lanrua Temple? What was he trying to do? Could it be that they also wanted to declare war on Lanrua Temple? They didn't know, but they didn't have time to think about it. One of them hurriedly took out a scroll. It was a map that contained the way to Lanrua Temple. Lin Xian probed with his soul spirit and indeed found a map. After that, he waved his hand and let them go. They hurriedly left. Lin Xian and the dark red dragon's bodies flashed, turned into two rays of light and disappeared. The news that Yuan Kuan was injured and fled caused quite a stir. It quickly spread. Even Lanrua Temple knew about it. This made them very nervous. Not long ago, the Yi family's sacred physique was hunted down in eastern wilderness. Now, a genius from Whitehorse Temple in the western desert was being hunted down. This was very shocking. Could it be that the mysterious faction was going to make a move on the western desert prodigy? They were all on guard. After the people from Whitehorse Temple learned about it, they quickly sent powerhouses to rescue Yuan Kuan. At the same time, they quickly searched and decided to kill the culprit. However, after searching for a while, they did not find any traces of Lin Xian and the dark red dragon. This made them grit their teeth in anger. Lin Xian and the dark red dragon also arrived at Lanrua Temple. At this moment, Lanrua Temple was still shining with Buddhist light, and many runes appeared around it. Obviously, they had also become cautious. The arrival of Lin Xian and the dark red dragon caused 6 monks to walk out of the light in front of them. They held the Chi Mei staff in their hands and looked coldly in front of them. The people stopped in their tracks. "Who are you? Why did you come to Lanrua Temple?" They were extremely nervous. Lin Xian said in a deep voice, "I am Lin Xian, the master of the Immortal Temple. I am good friends with your son, No Flower." "Lin Xian? Immortal Temple?" Hearing that, the 6 monks' expressions changed. "Please wait a moment. We will report it." They hurriedly went to report it. Not long after, a loud laugh was heard. Countless Buddhist runes formed a Buddhist flower that dragged a young monk away quickly. "Brother Lin. Ah, it's you. Long time no see." After seeing Lin Xian, No Flower was big. They met again. Lin Xian also smiled. "Brother Lin, come with me." No Flower waved his kasaya, and all the Buddhist arrays immediately opened up a path. Lin Xian and the dark red dragon followed in. No Flower brought the two of them to a quiet place. There were mountains, rivers, and courtyards. "Come, Brother Lin, try the spirit tea that I brewed myself." The two of them came to the stone pavilion and sat down. There were 4 exquisite dishes on the stone table. They were all vegetarian dishes, and there was a pot of spirit tea next to them. Delicious. Lin Xian tasted it and found it surprisingly delicious. "I didn't expect that No Flower would have such culinary skills." The dark red dragon at the side finished all the food. "Little monk, do you have more?" He was very happy. No Flower smiled and said, "Yes, I have enough." Soon, he waved his hand and exquisite dishes appeared on the table again. At the same time, he took out a guqin and played it gently. The sound of the guqin was pleasant and comfortable. It even carried a mysterious power. Lin Xian felt that he had entered an unprecedentedly relaxed and peaceful state. The dark red dragon at the side was also surprised. No Flower was really amazing. His attainments in the Buddhist Dharma were so high. He would probably become a holy monk in the future. The sound of the guqin was melodious. On the other side, the sound of the guqin was also pleasant. It was a mountain. A man in a blue robe was holding a phoenix guqin and playing it gently. Cranes and spirit rabbits were flying around him. Obviously, they were all attracted by the sound of the guqin. Whoosh! Suddenly at this moment, not far from him, the ground bulged and then, a head stretched out from the ground. The head was very strange. It was completely wrapped in black fog and the face could not be seen clearly. As soon as he appeared, he looked at the man in blue in front of him. The plan has failed. Our people have all been killed. Hearing that, the man in blue stopped. Suddenly, the sound of the guqin also gradually stopped. When the sound of the guqin stopped, the surrounding cranes and spirit rabbits all ran away. When the black-robed man appeared, they were not afraid. But now that the sound of the guqin had disappeared, these little spirit beasts all left. Chapter 2668. I've already heard about it. The entire Eastern Wasteland and even the true spirit world is abuzz. But I'm curious. We've been planning for so long, and we've mobilized so much power to get such a good opportunity. Logically speaking, Leaf Dowdenier should have died without a doubt. But why is he still alive? The blue-robed man's voice was cold and emotionless. There were 108 stars on his robes, all of them flickering in and out of existence. Our plan had been successful, and Leaf Dowdenier had been seriously injured. He should have been killed soon. But then a brat jumped out and completely ruined our plans. Brat? What brat? The blue-robed man frowned. He had found the crux of the problem. Lin Xian, the master of Immortal Palace. He was the one who brought a few experts from Immortal Palace to save Leaf Dowdenier, and ultimately caused our plan to fail. Lin Xian, the master of Immortal Palace? Was actually him. The blue-robed man's eyes flashed coldly. How could he have appeared at a time like this? I don't know, but he was the one who ruined the plan we've been working on for so many years. The black head radiated a shocking killing intent. Could it be that Leaf Dowdenier was destined to die? The blue-robed man stood up, clasped his hands behind his back and looked up at the sky. Yang Qi sighed. After this, it would be very difficult to kill Leaf Dowdenier again. However, if Leaf Dowdenier was allowed to grow, it would be troublesome. What should we do? Should we give up? The black head asked. The blue-robed man shook his head. Give up? Impossible. Leaf Dowdenier might be powerful, but it'll take him a long time to grow. Although he's being protected, we can do it in the open. Let all the young geniuses of the world challenge him. I refuse to believe that he'll win every battle. Seems you have a plan. The black head nodded. But what about that Lin Xian brat? This time he ruined our plan. Should we send someone to deal with him? No need. It's not convenient for us to show our faces. Find someone to contact the infernal realm and have them attack. Let's not make any moves for now. I'll make some arrangements. Wait for my news. Alright, I'll contact the infernal realm and have them attack that brat. The black head drilled into the ground and disappeared. The crack in the ground healed once again. The blue-clothed man's eyes flickered. His eyes were like the incomparably deep starry sky. Lin Xian? Let's see what qualifications you have to mess up my plan. Lin Xian had no idea that he was being targeted by the same mysterious organization that had killed Leaf Dowdenier. He was currently in the middle of a discussion with No Flower. When No Flower learned of Lin Xian's intentions, she was also extremely surprised. Soon he found the abbot of Lanrua Temple and quickly explained the situation. Lanrua Temple also treated them with great respect. In the end, both sides also formed an alliance. Brother Lin couldn't stay here any longer. Seeing that Lin Xian was about to leave in a hurry, No Flower tried to stop him. Lin Xian shook his head. This matter is urgent. We should make preparations and then join forces to hold a meeting to announce the news of the dragon nest to the world. Don't worry, Lanrua Temple will definitely do our best in this matter. Both sides waved goodbye. Lin Xian and the dark red dragon soared into the sky. The two of them left Lanrua Temple and prepared to return to the reclining Buddha Ridge to meditate for a while. Then they would open the door and return to the Immortal Palace. This time Lin Xian and the dark red deity's meditation went smoothly. About a month later. On this day Lin Xian opened his eyes. He had made some progress in his meditation. He felt that his understanding of martial arts had deepened. Not only that, his mastery of various divine abilities had become more proficient than before. Beside him, the dark red dragon had also gained something. However, at this moment Lin Xian and the dark red dragon's eyelids suddenly twitched. Then the void split open and two shadowy figures quickly attacked. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, clang, and earth-shattering sound was heard. Lin Xian and the dark red dragon were forced back. They knocked over two mountains and fell into endless ruins. Damn it, who dares to attack me? A dragon's roar rang out as countless rocks were blasted away. The dark red dragon flew out, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. On the other side, Lin Xian also smashed all the rocks with a punch and walked out. Golden runes appeared in his eyes and swept in all directions. Who is it? Did Yuan Kun bring the people from White Horse Temple here? If they don't know what's good for them, I don't mind sending them on their way. Lin Xian was stunned. No, it's not a monk. It's not the people from White Horse Temple. It should be a group of assassins. That was because he realized that these people were hiding in the void and constantly changing their positions. If he didn't have the heavenly secret divine eyes, he wouldn't have noticed them at all. What a terrifying assassination technique. The two blurry figures in front were also surprised. They didn't die? And they weren't injured. The two of them were too shocked. That was because the attack just now was a sure kill attack. They could even kill a late-stage 8-star mighty figure with one strike. However, the two of them were only blasted away and knocked over 2 mountains. They weren't injured. Could it be that they're wearing some kind of treasure armor? Damn it, it's the two of you who ambushed me? The dark red dragon stared at the two shadow-like assassins. He waved his dragon claws and shrouded the front. With a bang, the void shattered, but the two figures calmly dodged. Their speed was very fast, so fast that it was hard to believe. They actually dodged. Damn it, I'll burn you to death. The dark red dragon opened its mouth and spewed out dragon flames that completely enveloped the void. Now, it was no longer a problem that could be solved by speed. However, the two ghostly figures disappeared into the void with a swoosh. Concealment technique. The dark red dragon was shocked. If they're not from the Gu family, then they're assassins. And they're not ordinary assassins. Kid, we're being targeted. Can you tell which organization's assassins are from? Lin Xian's eyes lit up as he looked in all directions. I can't tell, but judging from the other party's speed in this assassination technique, I'm guessing that it's the people from the 3 major assassin dynasties. The 3 major assassin dynasties? Lin Xian's expression was solemn. He had fought with the assassins from the 3 major assassin dynasties before. At that time he did feel a strong sense of danger. He didn't expect that after so many years, the other party would make a move again. However, he knew that the other party wouldn't take the initiative to attack. Someone must have spent a lot of money to assassinate him. That was why the assassins took action. But who is it? Who wants to assassinate me? He didn't know because there were too many people who wanted to kill him. The Yin-Yang sect, the 5 Elements Palace, the Tai dynasty, and the War tribe were all possible. Since he couldn't think of anyone, he could only capture 2 and search their souls. Whoosh. Thinking of this, the void on Lin Xian's left shattered again. A black long sword pierced over. Chapter 2669. The dark red divine dragon was startled when the long sword pierced through, but he soon breathed a sigh of relief, because there was no blood spilling out. Not good. The shadow assassin was also stunned, then he retracted his long sword and quickly retreated. He knew that what he stabbed was not the other party's real body, but an afterimage. It was just that the afterimage was so fast that even he did not recognize it. Whoosh. The afterimage disappeared, and Lin Xian's real body appeared in the same place as if he had never left. This scene made the shadow assassin extremely shocked. The other party's speed was too fast. Did he want to leave? Lin Xian stretched out a large hand and grabbed in front of him. The terrifying palm carried endless light, shattering the void. The terrifying power was like an ocean, shrouding the shadow assassin. Get lost. The shadow assassin roared, and his long sword turned into lightning, slashing at Lin Xian's palm. Every sword cut through the void and could injure a peerless almighty. However, such a terrifying sword light clashed with the radiant palm, splashing countless sparks, but it could not hurt the palm. Damn it, how was this possible? The shadow assassin was shocked, and the assassins hiding in the dark also exclaimed. Not good body training technique. This kid had an extremely powerful body training technique. His physique was very strong. Everyone had to be careful when they assassinated. These people quickly transmitted their voices, and the others looked even more dignified. These assassins' eyes bloomed with a biting cold light, trying to find Lin Xian's weakness. Lin Xian's large hand shook, and his palm seemed to turn into a thunder hammer. With a boom, it directly smashed the long sword in half. Whoosh. In the next moment, the thunder hammer palm turned into a large azure dragon palm, enveloping the shadow assassin. Damn it, get lost. The assassin roared, and an endless murderous aura rushed out of his body, piercing through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. However, he could not do anything to the palm. Lin Xian looked down and asked coldly, "Speak, who sent you to kill me?" "Don't even think about it, we won't sell out the buyer's information," the shadow assassin roared. In the next moment, the endless killing intent on his body turned into a black sea. A ferocious ghost face rushed out from his body. His palm shot towards Lin Xian. Not only was this ghost face's killing intent extremely heavy, but it also carried an incomparably gloomy and cold aura, as if it had rushed out from hell. The infernal realm was the infernal realm of assassins. Seeing this scene, the dark red divine dragon screamed, because this aura was too obvious. Lin Xian's eyes also flashed with a fierce light. Hell's dynasty of assassins? If you don't want to talk, I'll search your soul myself. 2 rays of piercingly cold sword chi shot out from his eyes, directly destroying the ghost face. At the same time, a golden rune flashed and forcibly extracted his soul. Ah, that assassin from hell screamed miserably. Clearly this collision of souls had caused him too much damage. However, it didn't take long for his head to explode, and his soul to shatter into pieces. The yin-yang chi under Lin Xian's feet spun, bringing him back quickly. The 9-yang divine body also blocked all the energy impact. However, his expression was somewhat ugly. This was because an extremely terrifying restriction in the assassin's mind had exploded as soon as he collected his soul. Obviously, this restriction was set up in advance by the Hell's dynasty of assassins. The purpose was to prevent others from searching their souls. These assassins had extremely powerful restrictions in their bodies. Once they were in danger of death, they would explode with a loud bang. This would not leave any clues for others. The dark red divine dragon said from the side. Damn it, how could they be so cautious? Lin Xian's expression was cold. There was no other way. The 3 great dynasty of assassins had been passed down since ancient times, and had not been destroyed for so long. They must have endless secrets. They would not allow this kind of secret to be leaked. Not even a trace of it would be allowed to be leaked. Is that so? If that's the case, then there's nothing to worry about. I can only kill all of these assassins. Lin Xian's body shone brightly, and a murderous aura erupted from his eyes. Since the other party had come to kill him, he would not show any mercy. Get out here, all of you. A cold shout shook the 9 heavens. However, these assassins were very experienced and would not let personal feelings affect their emotions. Although their companions had been killed, they did not act rashly. They were still lurking in the void, waiting to find the driver. As expected of the people of the ancient dynasty of assassins. They were indeed terrifying. You don't want to come out, right? Do you think I can't find you if you don't come out? A golden vortex appeared in Lin Xian's eyes. He suddenly turned around and threw a punch behind him. Boom. A terrifying force accompanied the punch and directly blasted the void behind him. The 2 assassins from hell were forced out. The 2 men's expressions changed. Damn it, how did he find out? Impossible, he must be dreaming. The 2 of them attacked decisively. Black sword chi fell from the sky and slashed toward Lin Xian. The terrifying murderous aura made even the peerless almighties tremble. Obviously, these assassins were very terrifying. Lin Xian also faced the attack with all his strength. He used the heaven-fighting divine fist and the 9-yang divine body to attack. The sword chi that filled the sky kept shattering. Whoosh whoosh whooshed. However, at this moment, 4 shadow assassins appeared from behind and directly attacked his back. For a moment, Lin Xian was attacked from the front and back. It had to be said that the timing of these 4 people was too exquisite. Just as Lin Xian punched, the 4 of them took action. This was the time when warriors were most relaxed. Their alive slain technique was indeed terrifying. Kid, be careful. The dark red divine dragon roared and was about to attack. However, he was also surrounded by 4 assassins from hell, firmly surrounding him. Get lost. With the 4 assassins fighting, Lin Xian's side was in great danger. Just a mere assassin, you want to kill me? Lin Xian shouted coldly as the dragon sword domain surged out. Behind him, it transformed into a giant sword and slashed out. With a clang, the 4 assassins were sent flying. The 2 assassins in front were also sent flying by a punch. The 6 top assassins vomited large mouthfuls of blood, their faces full of shock. Damn it, he's too strong. The other party was too strong. In an instant he had injured 6 top assassins. This made them feel incredulous. One had to know that they had already estimated the other party's strength and ranked him as a top existence among the Holy Sons. Moreover, as a precaution, they had sent out a large number of top assassins this time. Killing any peerless almighties was not a problem. They were even confident that they could kill an invincible king. Because other than these assassins, there were even more terrifying existences. Lin Xian stood in the air, looking disdainfully in all directions. Just 6 assassins and you dare to kill me? You really don't know life from death. Chapter 2670. His eyes shone with a cold light. However, at this moment, a cold and merciless power came from the sky. A large black palm descended from the sky. It completely enveloped Lin Xian. At the same time, countless black gas appeared around him, forming hell and sealing off Lin Xian's escape route. In the sky, on the ground, in all directions there were terrifying attacks. Lin Xian was completely sealed. Not good. The Crimson Divine Dragon's expression changed when he saw that. He could sense that the power was too terrifying. Damn it, this assassin's power is too terrifying. He did not expect that the assassins from hell would send out such a powerful existence. This energy was indeed too terrifying. The entire world was trembling rapidly. Even a peerless almighty would not be able to escape death. Only an invincible king would be able to escape such an attack. Therefore, seeing this scene, the 6 assassins from hell sneered. What a reckless brat. You dare to go against the infernal realm? Now you can die obediently. If the elders attacked, he would definitely die. Get lost. Lin Xian roared angrily. He used the 9 Yang divine constitution to the limit. Rays of light bloomed, making him look like a god of war. He held the ancient dragon abyss sword with both hands and slashed down. Endless thunder surged and a terrifying chaotic aura filled the air. The terrifying power of the 5 forms swept across. He used the 3 heaven-grade sword techniques to the extreme. At this moment he slashed the heavens and destroyed the earth. Boom, boom. A loud dragon roar sounded. The surrounding hell was cut into pieces by him. The large palm in the sky was also pierced by the 2 dragon-shaped sword chi. However, this palm strike was truly too terrifying. Even though it was pierced, it still fell like an ancient demonic mountain and crashed into Lin Xian's body. This brat is not simple. He can actually destroy such a terrifying hell and penetrate our elder's palm of light. His strength was simply too terrifying. Yes, it's probably not inferior to the Eastern Wilderness sacred body. The assassins from hell discussed in low voices. Some assassins sneered. So what? No matter how powerful he is, he can't escape death in the end. There are more than 10 million prodigies in the hell kill. Yes, that's right. Once you're dead, you're nothing. No matter how talented you are, you will only become a corpse in the end. The men sneered. Boom, boom. An earth-shattering sound rang out as the light in front of him exploded. Lin Xian's body flew out like a meteor, crashing into a dozen mountains. Fuming in the sky, a black-robed old man walked out. His aura was powerful. Seeing this scene, the dark red dragon was extremely shocked. An invincible king. It turned out to be an invincible king-level assassin. It was too terrifying. Such an assassin could kill other invincible kings. Furthermore, the alive-slain method of these people was very terrifying. In a head-on confrontation, that kid was probably in danger. However, the dark red dragon god knew that Lin Xian might be injured, but it was impossible for him to be killed. Boom. Sure enough, in the next moment, the ground split open and Lin Xian rose into the air. His black hair fluttered in the wind, and his eyes were sharp. There were traces of blood on his body. That palm strike had indeed injured him. Not only were there external injuries, but there were also internal injuries. However, the longevity arc quickly circulated and repaired him. The 9 Yang divine body released billions of rays of light. Lin Xian's eyes were like lightning as he stared at the black-robed old man in the distance. An invincible king-level assassin? You guys really think highly of me. He didn't expect that the Hell Assassins would have such a lineup to kill him, a saint-level genius. They actually sent an invincible king-level assassin. Who was it that wanted him to die so badly? What, he's fine? That's impossible. The Hell Assassins were all stunned as they looked at this scene in disbelief. The other party had received a palm strike from their invincible elder. How could he still be alive? One had to know that the gap between an invincible king and a peerless almighty was huge. With a palm strike, a peerless almighty had no chance of survival. However, the other party was only injured and didn't die. This was beyond their expectations. The invincible assassin was also stunned. What was going on? Was it the Taoist robe on his body? He looked at the flaming Taoist robe and shook his head. No, it wasn't a Taoist robe. A Taoist robe couldn't block my palm. Could it be that this kid had a special body tempering technique? But so what? The gap between the two sides was too big. He didn't believe that the other party could escape from his hands. In the next moment, the invincible king-level assassin sneered. Kid, you've exceeded my expectations. To think that he was able to survive under my attack. However, that was all. Everything was over. This time there was absolutely no chance of survival. As he said that, he raised his palm again. The spirit energy within a radius of tens of thousands of miles gathered towards his palm. An incomparably dark palm with a biting cold murderous aura pushed out horizontally. Lin Xian snorted coldly and used the chaotic yin-yang steps to dodge quickly. The void around him was completely shattered, and the mountains below collapsed. It was a scene of apocalypse. Of all the places, only the giant Buddha was intact. Lin Xian dodged the palm and was sent flying by the palm wind. Countless sword chi rushed out of his body and destroyed the force. He only stopped after flying for 2,000 to 3,000 miles. He didn't die again? The people of Assassin Divine Dynasty were stunned, and the invincible king-level assassin's face darkened. Previously he was extremely confident and didn't put the other party in his eyes, threatening to kill the other party with one palm. But now, after 2 palms, the other party was still alive. This was a slap to his face. Let's see how long you can hide. The invincible king-level assassin attacked crazily, and one terrifying palm after another flew towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian used the chaotic yin-yang steps and turned into a yin-yang light, shuttling between the countless palm shadows. After more than 10 palms, Lin Xian was still alive, and the invincible king-level assassin's face was completely pale. Damn kid, you've completely angered me. He waved his palm and a pitch-black hell domain flew out and enveloped the surroundings. At the same time he pulled out a killing sword, and the killing intent on his body suddenly erupted. It seemed that he was really determined to kill. Lin Xian looked at the other party and sneered. Old thing, do you think you can kill me? Kid, don't be so eloquent. Today you will definitely die. You can't escape from my palm. The invincible king-level assassin snorted coldly, and the Hell Domain assassin sneered. Idiot kid, how dare you be arrogant in front of our elder? You're courting death. That's right, our elder has assassinated several invincible king-level assassins. Do you think you can survive? Do you really know the power of an invincible king-level assassin? These people sneered and looked at Lin Xian as if they were looking at an idiot. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Is that so? I think you're the ignorant ones. Chapter 2671. Whom beside Lin Xian, a woman in a black dress and a black veil walked out. The power of an invincible king erupted from her body. What? An invincible king? This guy also has an invincible king by his side. This scene caused the Hell Assassins to exclaim. The invincible assassin's expression also became ugly. Damn it, he was too careless. His opponent actually had an invincible king. No wonder he was so arrogant. However, he soon sneered. Kid, do you think you're safe with an invincible king? You have to know that many invincible kings have died in my hands. Today, I'll let you know that there's a difference between invincible kings. I'll let you see the ultimate killing move of my assassin dynasty. Is that so? Let's see if you can succeed or if I'll kill your disciples first. With that, Lin Xian's figure flashed and like a god of war he rushed out. How dare you? Seeing Lin Xian rush towards the other assassins, the invincible king's expression changed. He swept his long sword, wanting to kill Lin Xian. However, Xiao Wu also made a move. Her jade-white palm was like the hand of a god, blocking the terrifying sword light. Your opponent is me. Xiao Wu's voice was cold. Damn it, get lost. The two unrivaled kings fought together. Seeing this scene, the dark red divine dragon also laughed, not knowing the difference between life and death. Now it's time to harvest. He didn't hold back anymore, and several heaven-grade artifacts were thrown out by him, sweeping across the area. As for Lin Xian, he charged towards the 6 assassins from hell. Courting death. Seeing Lin Xian rushing towards them, the 6 hell assassins roared angrily. Lin Xian wanted to kill the 6 of them alone? This was too much. Damned ant, go to hell. The 6 of them roared angrily. They were all extremely top assassins, and killing a peerless almighty was not a problem. Therefore, at this moment, the 6 of them attacked, and it was really terrifying. Terrifying killing intent swept through the world. It flooded towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian roared angrily and took a step forward, exuding a supreme aura from his body. He swung his fists, opened the big box and pressed forward with indomitable will. This was the essence of the heaven-battling divine fist. Boom. Boom. The battle between Lin Xian and the 6 top assassins was extremely terrifying. The 6 top assassins were extremely shocked. The other party had single-handedly resisted the 6 of them. Moreover, this was only the other party's fist. His opponent's sword chi was even more terrifying. One of them was directly split into 2. This assassin had fled thousands of miles away and reassembled his body. His face was filled with terror. The other assassins also sucked in a cold breath. Too frightening, too frightening. Could it be that he was the second saintly being? How could his physique be so strong? The killing techniques that they were so proud of were actually unable to pose any threat to the other party's physique. This was too shocking for them. Killed with a furious roar, Lin Xian charged over again. His voice was like a thunderstorm, carrying with it an invincible conviction. This scene caused the expressions of the assassins from hell to change. Not good, his aura is too strong. If this continues, we will definitely die. We have to disrupt his invincible confidence. These assassins quickly retreated and dodged, preparing to look for an opportunity. In the distance, the invincible assassin who was fighting with Xiao Wu was also shocked by the confidence that the other party displayed. That aura of indomitable will surprised even him. This young man was simply too terrifying. The Killer King's clone. He formed a hand seal with his palm, and a shadow rushed out of his body and quickly charged out. Die, brat. The shadow was very fast. In an instant it arrived near Lin Xian. The black dagger in its hand was constantly waving. This was a clone of the other party, and it also had the power of an invincible king. At this moment, coupled with that terrifying killing technique, it was truly terrifying. Buzz. Lin Xian directly pulled out the dragon-shaped sword and slashed out. It was as if 10,000 dragons had attacked, directly splitting the clone in half. What? This scene caused everyone to tremble in shock. The 6 top-notch assassins were completely dumbfounded. Even the invincible assassin's eyelids were twitching wildly. One of his clones was killed in an instant just like that? Impossible. How could the other party be so strong? Could it be that the other party had not used all of his strength before? Thinking of this, the invincible assassin's body turned cold. He roared angrily. Retreat. Hurry up and retreat. This mission is cancelled. Hearing this, the top assassins retreated crazily. You still want to leave? The dark red divine dragon's body grew larger, becoming tens of thousands of feet long, directly enveloping 4 top assassins. The other 6 top assassins fled crazily. Stay for me. Lin Xian waved the dragon-slaying sword domain, and thousands of sword chi descended, enveloping the 6 top assassins. The 6 assassins also activated their own domains to resist. Boom boom boom, an earth-shattering sound was heard. In the dragon sword domain, the roar of a dragon sounded, and countless dragon-shaped sword chi flew out, firmly restraining the domains of the 6 top assassins. There were even 2 of the domains that were directly pierced through. This sword chi was too terrifying. It pressed forward with indomitable will, destroying the heavens and earth. It was even more terrifying than the War God Fist technique. It made the 6 top assassins tremble. In the end, there was no suspense. The 6 top assassins were all killed. They were split in half, and even their souls were split open by the sword. Because Lin Xian couldn't detect the souls of these people, he didn't hold back at all. Damn it! The invincible assassin roared. The 4 to 10 top assassins he brought were all killed. This made his heart bleed. Kid, just you wait. Hell will not spare you. At this point, his figure flickered and he turned around to leave. Humph! Xiao Wu snorted coldly. She wouldn't let him leave. In the next moment, she waved her hand and a black whip lashed out. The black whip was covered with scales. It was very strange. In an instant, it wrapped around the invincible assassin. Ping ping ping. A miserable sound rang out. The scales on the whip all pierced into the assassin's body. Immediately, blood spurted out and dyed the void red. Damn it, I'll fight it out for you. An ancient figure rushed out from his body, and a terrifying aura burst out. However, this ancient figure had just rushed out 1/5 of the way when a black shadow flew out from the black whip in Xiao Wu's hand. It covered the sky and earth, and with a pair of black wings, it directly swallowed this invincible assassin. His bones shattered and blood splattered everywhere. A moment later, this invincible assassin was killed. How terrifying! Lin Xian was shocked. This was the first time he saw Xiao Wu attack. He didn't expect the other party to be so powerful. It seemed that Immortal Palace had given him a very powerful invincible king. After killing this invincible king assassin, Xiao Wu withdrew the black whip and disappeared into the void. Lin Xian's eyes flickered as he swept his gaze across the bodies of these assassins. In the next moment, he summoned all 6 of their storage rings. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.